Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition. Not another, the premiere. I already screwed up my intro. The premiere edition of the Straight Outta Chino podcast, brought to you by the OHOG podcast starring Skeet Ulrich, live on twitch.tv/comic and GameCorp. If you didn't already know, I am your immaculate host for this evening. I am a podcast host extraordinaire. I am a Cleveland Browns fan, unfortunately. I'm also, if you didn't know this, 43 ducks in a trench coat. Yeah. My name's Alex Swisher. Joining me, as always, my trusty co-host, the one, the only, Ovaltine Jenkins. Chad, how we doing?
I'm doing great.
It's
These podcasts are also brought to you by RealNerdCorp.com.
oh yeah, powered by RealNerdCorp.com. Sorry, I forgot to put that into my because I forgot we put powered.
Powered. So, here's what we're doing for the next 4 weeks. Much as that, I already fucked it up.
Yep, we've already fucked up.
it's a testament to the show we're reviewing. For the next 4 weeks, Swish and myself, and see that's the thing. Swish, for me, is the S's and the Z's are always kind of like a mental fuckaroo, if you will. I always kind of get janky around those. But me and Swish are reviewing the 4 seasons of the OC.
Yep.
Living on the roof, California, here we come. I can actually sing. I don't know why I do that.
That theme is like on my short list of positives that I have about this show.
Positives. The theme. It's only 4 seasons long.
Yeah. Positives. Peter Gallagher, right there at the top. The theme song. 4 seasons, and season 4 is only 16 episodes.
And it's probably the best season.
Yeah. So, the list of negatives much longer, but we'll get to that.
We are going to have differing views on this. And here's what I want to say. When I watched the show originally, I was super angry at so much of it, and then I realized I was supposed to be. They write these characters to be infuriating on purpose. So when bad things happen to you, you get a sixth sense of enjoyment. But the one thing I want to point out is on my second viewing, when I know how this plays out and I know what happens to all these characters, I'm not as tense watching it, and I'm not hate watching it. Like, I got through the first season. I'm not going to sit here and say I was overjoyed, or I'm going to put this on Jericho's level in terms of a show that is like all-time great, but it definitely has a lot of appeal to it. I think if you were to rewatch it after watching it once, you would start to see some of the more nuanced goofs that they definitely play. Because when you watch a show the first time through, you most of the times you're watching the story, you're watching the characters, you're listening to the dynamics. You're not looking for the little ha-has or the little cutesy moments, because it's the first time through. You're trying to figure out who everyone is, what everyone's about, and all that stuff. So I do think this show has legs second time through that don't exist in the first time through. But that's not to say that there's not some annoyances here. But the show also tickles my fancy in a lot of ways because, it's people not liking their parents, and I can relate to half of that. So,
I think my biggest problem with the show, after kind of like taking time to think about what happened in season 1, is that unlike other shows that we have watched or talked about, including, I would say Cobra Kai, not necessarily Karate Kid, but Cobra Kai, and One Tree Hill, and even Jericho to an extent, there are episodes in those shows that have momentary happiness.
yeah.
They, bad things happen, they recover, and then there's just a small stretch of good. In season 1, at least so far, it has been nonstop problem to problem to problem to problem. They don't give you room to breathe. And I think that's intentional on their behalf because you're supposed to hate these people. They're wealthy, rich socialites who live in Newport Beach in Orange County, California. They have zero problems, and they're trying to establish that their problems are bigger than what we think they are, instead of just like, oh, I can't believe, I have to go buy a new Beamer because my battery, whatever, my engine's fucked. So I have to go buy a whole brand new car. But they can afford. They have all this money, and they have these very small problems. They're trying to establish that their problems are much more serious than that. And I think that they're also trying to establish that even though these people pretend to have perfect lives, they have actually in reality very shitty lives. Um, but also show that these characters have zero like reality checks. And Marissa, I think, is the biggest example of this, where she every issue that she encounters throughout season 1 is a life-ending issue. um these characters are not grounded in reality. The moment something bad happens, it's the end of the world for all of them. I mean, some of these issues, like Jimmy in season 1, those are life-ending issues. Marissa's problems, not so much. um so I think what they're doing is intentional, but I think they haven't they take away a lot of the tense blows and like the heavy hitting like sadness from actually giving these characters some time to breathe and enjoy their lives, for longer than just 15 minutes. To us, I would say, throughout the course of the episode, it's not like we get a full episode of happiness. We get 15 minutes, and then a new problem has to set in.
I agree with some of that, but I think you used the wrong person. Because Marissa is a perfect example of what happens to a child when they feel like their parent is going out of their way to ruin their life. Because if you look at a lot of what Marissa's mom does to her in season 1, it's not overtly abusive, but if you actually like go back and look at it, because again, I was same mindset as you first time through. But now this time through, I started to notice a lot of this minor nuances, and Julie Cooper is extremely abusive to her children.
No,
And
I agree.
that, I think, is what sets Marissa on this mindset, because when she goes off to live with her dad and she
Hmm.
starts to date Ryan, she does mellow out because she feels she has people to rely on. But when her mother is the primary focus of her life, she starts to lose her mind. And when you look at the way Julie Cooper runs the world essentially in the show, it becomes pretty evident that there's a lot of problems with her that leads to a lot of secondary problems with other people. So I think the analogy is fair in terms of the show, but the specific individual I think was missed. I think a better version of that would be someone like Seth,
Well,
where everything's this
I
big end of the world thing, but really the only thing he has to worry about is a girl doesn't like him.
yes, and I agree with you to a point, but at the same time, you have to take in episodes like the Tijuana episode where she sees that Luke had been cheating on her. So her and Luke have been done for weeks up to this point. She's starting to like move on to Ryan. She sees that Luke had cheated on her with a bunch of girls, and her response to that is to run away and try to kill herself.
Well, she even says she
You
didn't
know.
try to kill herself. She was drunk and she took too many pills. Like that was a specifically stated thing, and I don't know if that was supposed to be just like a diffusion of the scene, and there was more that was cut out. But like for all intents and purposes, she even said like I was just trying not to feel anything. I wasn't trying to kill myself. And we see this a
Right.
lot in real life with accidental overdoses, but it was still an over exaggeration because even though they were on their way to being done, they still weren't at the time. That was the catalyst for them finally breaking up, because just before then, she had lost her virginity to him, and
Well,
that was the episode
another.
where Ryan almost fucks Caleb's new hot young wife or girlfriend or whatever she is.
Yes, whatever her name was, doesn't matter. Again, another crazy overreaction on
Yes,
her behalf.
yes. But I also think that
Yeah.
you can't look at it as a moment to moment situation. It's accumulation.
Right.
All these things have piled up for her, so I understand it, though I don't respect it.
Obviously, and you're right. If we were to sit here and pick apart every single character moment to moment, you would realize that all of these people suck, including the protagonist Ryan.
Right.
You know,
But you got to look at it
Ryan.
as a linear line with every little moment that happens in the show being part
getting
of
us
every moment.
to a point.
Right.
Yes. Um, I mean, yeah, when you break it down too, Ryan is a shitbag. He's an awful human being
I wouldn't say
who
awful.
toys with people's.
He's definitely not well adjusted. He
He
tries. He
toy.
tries.
Yeah, but he ends up toying with people's emotions, and then he doesn't even really have the sack to apologize for it. His answer to that is running away.
He only
You
did
know,
that once.
no, he tried to leave several times throughout season 1,
Well, he tried
or
to
he
leave.
threatened to, or he threatened to by saying, maybe it would be better if I just wasn't around and shit like that.
Well, to be fair, Kirsten wasn't too happy with him when that was going on. So
Well,
he
Kirsten's a bitch, so
well, and it's actually revealed in, I don't know if it was the end of season 1 or the start of season 2, but it's revealed that Kirsten's a conservative and Sandy's a liberal, and so there's
I
definitely
mean,
going to be some clashes of ideology with that.
they, yeah, no, it's I think it's like the first episode of season 2 where they overtly explain it. I mean, they say that Sandy is a hippie throughout all of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's really shown off by the fact that he's a public defender who spends most of his mornings surfing.
Which is
Um,
great.
it's awesome. He's a fantastic character. But in the beginning of season 2, she says, "I can't take any more of your hippity dippity parenting crap." And then he pushes back by saying, "And you think that your overbearing mother, type style,
Just helping out.
uh, is helping because we're both doing just a bang up job here and shit like that."
Did you get to the
Um,
part in season 2 where the law professor re-enters Sandy's life?
no, I'm
Okay.
I'm on episode 3 or 4 of season 2.
Okay, it's coming up. There's an interaction there where he tells someone, like, who'd you end up marrying? Some super liberal, eco-terrorist kind of person. He goes, no, a blonde wasp conservative. And the person's like, wow, I didn't expect
I
you to marry
forget.
that.
There is definitely one episode in season 1 where I think it's Christmas. It's the Christmaka episode where Seth is talking about the combination of Christmas and Hanukkah and how, like, getting Hanukkah from his dad, and he's like talking about his dad, and then he calls his mom a wasp
It's not
in
untrue.
in that episode, and then she's just like, Seth, and she looks at Sandy, and Sandy goes, "Well, you are kind of waspy." So they overtly state in the first season that, like, these two, by all intents and purposes, should not be married to each other. And that's another thing that
Anna.
when you look at the Seth and Anna relationship, Seth asks his dad, Sandy, he says, like, "Do you and mom have, like, a bunch of
No,
things in
it
common?"
was
He's like,
it
"Oh
was
yeah,
it
we
was
got."
Anna who asks, "Do you and Mrs.
Oh yeah,
Cohen have a lot in common?" He's like, "Oh yeah, a lot of things like
we both love
and
Seth. That's what he says. He says we both love long dramatic pause. Seth. Oh man.
So
Yeah.
let's break the characters down one by one. We'll start with just in order here on Wikipedia, with Sandy being first. Peter Gallagher.
Alrighty.
Hippity dippity, la di da di. He is a public defender to start the series off,
Yep.
and he is morally driven. And it's mentioned throughout the first season that this is partly why his wife loves him, is because he puts morality ahead of anything. And considering she
Mm-hmm.
grew up in the OC, she grew up in the school's called Harbor. I forget what the city's called, but they grew up like
Newport Beach.
Newport Beach. She grew up in Newport Beach, so she's very familiar with how a lot of people behave in Newport Beach, and she feels that Sandy's that character, that person who is real, authentic, and she loves that, and that
Yeah.
and that ends up being part of the a confrontation later on in the first season, because there's the part where he goes and works for a private practice, and she feels like
Yeah.
he is selling out to us some degree. But the
Yeah.
one thing that Sandy really does bring to the table is he wants to help people.
He's originally from Philadelphia, I believe.
Bronx, New York.
Is he from New York?
Yes.
Okay. Well, he leaves at 16 to get away from his mom. Um, and he travels to California where he'll eventually meet his wife Kirsten. They don't live in the OC the entire time. She does move away from the OC to live with him. I forget where he said that they were living. They had like a little fixer upper. Um, and then when Kirsten's mom got sick, they moved back to the OC to Newport Beach into the mansion that her father built for her, specifically for her to live there with her mom until she passes away. Um, so Sandy is definitely kind of like a more well-traveled guy. I mean, I don't know if it's never explicitly stated if he's been out of the country, but he's definitely been across the country.
They mentioned that they
You
lived
know,
in a van at one point, just for fun.
yeah, he loves surfing. You know, he surfs almost every single morning before he starts at the private practice. He's a very he's a very laid back parent. He
Mm.
doesn't really come down hard on Ryan and Seth unless they royally fuck up. And for Ryan, that's almost constant, you know. Um, but at the beginning of season 1, Sandy really kind of like he sees a lot of himself, I think, in Ryan. He sees a kid who's coming out of a poor situation and doesn't really have a great home life, who has the ability to make something of himself if he really just applies himself, much like, he took the chance on leaving New York to come to California. He feels like Ryan just needs to get away from Chino, come out to the OC, and maybe things will start to go better for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a very, like you said, morally driven, and he's a caring individual. And there's very few people in the show that he probably wouldn't go to bat for. I mean, Caleb Nickel is one of them. I don't think he likes Julie very much, but he really is willing to help people even when nobody else is. And that's displayed through his relationship with Jimmy Cooper towards the end of the season.
Well, I was just about to say that's not entirely true because he will help anyone regardless if he likes them. Because in season 2, he ends up helping both Julie and Caleb, and he does
Yeah,
so
that's
because he
true.
has a moral obligation to help those in need. So
Yeah,
you're dead on. Like this dude is a bleeding heart liberal as they come.
yeah,
Unlike
but
his
he's
wife.
incredibly smart.
Yes, both Kirsten and Sandy are incredibly smart.
Yeah, for sure.
Kirsten is kind of the de facto number 2 at her father's um, development firm. They build McMansions and other
The
housing
Newport
units.
Group.
The Newport Group, but they also have other investments because they're a group. Apparently,
Yep.
she's very conservative, but also very open, very loving. She doesn't want Ryan at first because she's concerned about the influence he'll have on Seth. But at the end of the first season, we'll get to the details why. Ryan basically asks her, before he leaves the house for good, is there anything you need? And she says something to the effect like, for you not to leave. And she's come to love Ryan as her own. And
Yeah.
it shows the amount of ability that she has to grow. And there's a great line that really summarizes, like a great scene that really summarizes the relationship between Sandy and Kirsten and the way Kirsten thinks. And Sandy's like, he'll stay a few days at the start of the season. We'll stay a few days until child services open up, then we'll take him down. And then Kirsten walks away, and Sandy's like, "Where are you going?" And Kirsten goes, "To put my jewelry away." And Sandy's like, kind of flabbergasted, and Kirsten whips around and goes, "He's gonna need new sheets, Sandy." And Sandy's like, "Oh yeah, no, that makes more sense." So she's willing to bust balls, even in the tensest of situations, and I think that's very endearing. I like that. I like that she's not going to give any fucks. So I appreciate
Oh
that.
yeah.
She
Yeah,
also did a
she
pretty good job raising Seth, although he's a bit neurotic, so maybe not the best.
well, you gotta consider the fact that he's also, 50% Jewish. So
Which is a joke he makes all the time.
oh yeah, all of them. And the Jew stereotype gets played up a lot. Like the New York Jew stereotype is like another thing about Sandy is that he is a New York Jew that loves his bagels.
They eat bagels literally every morning. And the show was created by a Jewish creator. And
Yeah.
Sandy
What
Cohen is actually
Josh
Schwartz,
Schwartz?
yeah. And Sandy Cohen is
Yeah.
actually a stand-in for Josh Schwartz as a creator. So a lot
Yeah.
of what Peter Gallagher, who's very Irish. Gallagher.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things Sandy Cohen says is straight from the mouth of Babe, so to speak, and Josh Schwartz.
Yeah.
By Josh Schwartz also created the Gossip Girl franchise,
Uh,
and
and that
co-created
that is.
NBC's Chuck. Didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
I love Chuck.
There you go. Chuck's a great show.
Chuck's a great show.
There's a line in season 2, like I think it's like the second episode where the phone is ringing and they're all at breakfast or they're trying to have breakfast and he's making up a bagel with cream cheese, and Kirsten is like, Sandy, can you get that? And he goes, Hun, I'm mid schmear.
Yep. And at
And
one
it's
point,
like
at one point, he tells Marissa in season 2, "I'll teach you how to schmear. It's a very delicate process."
yeah, he gets visibly frustrated at Haley being in the house when she keeps eating all the bagels.
The bagels is life.
Yeah, he definitely, Seth and Sandy definitely play up the Jewishness. And it's never overtly over the top or like anything that would be offensive. It's just like, hey, they like their bagels, and they say things, they say Jewish words from time to time, but that's really it. Like, it's nothing crazy.
Seth at one
You know.
point in season 2 said something to the effect like, if I forget how he worded it, but he blames his Jewishness for not being very coordinated.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is a callback towards the end of season 1. When they're driving to Tijuana at the beginning of season 1, Summer says something along the lines of can we turn up the AC? This heat is killing my hair. I look like Howard Stern. Towards the end of season 1, I forget where Ryan is taking Seth. It's somewhere late at night. Oh, he's taking him to the airport. It's not the end of season 1. He's taking him to the airport to go catch up to Anna,
Mm-hmm.
who's leaving. And he says, what's going on with the AC? The heat is killing my hair. My Jufro's frizzing out. I look like Carrot Top.
That's right. So Kirsten is not Jewish. She's Episcopalian, I think is what they mentioned her as.
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian, thank you. And a lot of what she does in season 1 is run interference for Ryan against her father and the community at large. And that's something both her and Sandy end up doing a lot of. And there's a really great moment where Julie is chastising Ryan being brought into the community. And Sandy's within earshot, but she doesn't know he's there. So he sits down next to her, pulls the center out of her muffin, and eats it.
Such a fucking great. He goes, "Do you mind?" And then he just pulls it out and eats it. Dude, I forget what he says. He says like, "You're from like Riverside or something."
Yeah,
like
which isn't
that,
too far from Chino.
Yeah, and he basically just lambasts her. He's like, "Look," he's like, "This kid, like, we're giving this kid an opportunity. Quit shit talking my wife, basically."
Yeah, basically. She's hyper smart, but in season 1, she's not really given anything more that I remember other than being mom and wife. But in season 2, she gets a lot more going on. There's a lot more melodrama with her and Sandy over a returning ex-flame that gives her a lot of acting opportunities. And near the end of season 2, she starts to go through some real traumatic stuff. So season 2 is where Kirsten really gets more arcs outside of just being Mama Bear. But there are some great episodes in season 1 that involve like them trying to watch movies with Seth and Seth just leaving.
Yeah.
So she's a very fun character, but she's also a really admirable character. Like her and Sandy have a lot of strengths. As different as they are, they work very well together.
100% in Newport Beach, they are the moral uprights of the community.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Then we get Ryan Atwood.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I guess you would say he's the main character of this cast of main characters.
It is a show about his story, so yes.
Yeah.
Ryan lives in Chino, and his brother convinces him to steal a car with him.
Yep.
Ryan doesn't want to, but Trey convinces him, and when the cops roll up, Ryan gets in the car with Trey. Trey crashes, and the two of them get arrested. The one thing that I noticed about the pilot episode is it drastically has two different very stylings to the videography.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
When they're in Chino in the first episode, it's gritty. It's kind of meh. It's not very pretty to look at. It looks like it's straight out of the 90s. And then they go to the OC, and everything's a lot more gussied up. It's a lot more polished and a lot more colorful. But it's not just in the way they design or shoot things. It's the actual granulage of the footage that they use. Like if you watch the stuff from the first 15 minutes, it looks like a late 90s music video. It's very
Yeah,
kind of just choppy. It's kind of unfiltered. It has like some kind of weird, what's the word I'm looking at? Not app, but
there's
it
like a
has
there's like a heavy film grain.
filter.
Yeah,
It has like a heavy filter
yeah.
on it. And yeah, it does have a heavy film grain on it. And they revisit that several times, and I think they were trying to like make Chino feel different like that. But they stopped doing that after season 1, so I'm glad because that was dumb.
They stopped doing that towards the end of season 1.
Well, they I think they used it when he was driving away with Teresa.
Yeah, they don't use it when they're at Eddie and Teresa's engagement party
No, they do not.
in Chino. Yeah, so very interesting choices stylistically with the videography. I wish they would have kept to like at the beginning it's cool, but then to go back to it later after not using it for so long is kind of like a culture shock almost.
Did you notice that the backyard does not have grass?
Does it not?
No. Do you know what that has?
Is it AstroTurf?
It is.
I was like, oh yeah. Now that you think about it, there's like a small grass patch before you get to the infinity pool. But yeah,
It's
that's just
AstroTurf.
straight up AstroTurf. Yeah,
I thought that was fucking funny as hell. So
interesting.
Ryan gets arrested and gets bailed out by Sandy Cohen, his attorney, and Sandy says to him, "You could do worse," and that does not give Ryan a lot of confidence. Because Trey's 20, he can't get out. Ryan's 16, so
He's 20, being tried as an adult,
mhm,
and he has priors.
yes. And because this is Ryan's first offense and he's a minor, he's released to the custody of his mother, who picks him up and screams at him all the way home. And this is
Picks him up drunk.
yes, and this is kind of where I have some issues with the way they portray Ryan. Ryan's not a bad guy. He's young and dumb at times, but he's genuinely trying to be a good person. And when his
He just
mother's yelling at him, he's almost on the brink of tears.
yeah.
But then her boyfriend opens his mouth, and then all of a sudden he's like, and you're like, wait, what? How did you go from pretty boy babyface about to cry all of a sudden to rage McMuffin? Like, what's this about?
Right.
So like that was a
Yeah.
little dumb. But outside of those little minor moments, like Ben McKenzie does a great job with the brooding. He's very good at the brooding.
Oh man.
Very good.
If you have to describe, if we were like stuck for time and had to describe these characters in one word, you would describe Ryan Atwood as brooding.
I long said that Ben McKenzie, when he was cast for Gotham, should have been Batman because he brooded so much.
I agree with you there.
Broodman. He ends up forming a delicious bond with Seth right off the bat. Seth he's a little kid basically. He's like, "You want to play video games?" And Ryan's like, "Okay." And then they start to hang out together. They become really close. Ryan starts to open up more as the series goes on to Seth. And it's a really great kind of situation. Ryan, though, doesn't have great problem-solving skills. He's from
Nope.
Chino. Being from an area of Ohio with similar kind of methodologies, I understand what he's like because I know a lot of people like Ryan. For realsies. And as the series goes on, he starts to get better with that kind of impetuous, kind of violent streak. But he does throw a lot of punches in season 1. He's not great. But
I mean, I think he throws a punch in the first like 4 episodes of the season, and then after that they give him a little break.
then it's just slamming doors.
Yeah.
He throws a punch in the premiere because that's where he meets the goon squad, where Luke says, "Welcome to the OC, bitch." He throws punches in the model home because the goon squad find him. He throws a punch in the gamble, I think. No, he doesn't throw a punch in the gamble. He throws a punch in the debut though, because of what happens with Sandy. He gets hit in the face by that one dad, and Ryan knocks the dude out. And then he's like, "I'm sorry, I got into a fight." And they're like, "We think standing up for Sandy is a pretty good reason to get into a fight."
Yeah. The cotillion.
Yes, the cotillion, which is a great fucking episode. I love that episode.
It is a good episode.
Oh, you said something positive. Oh no.
No, like don't get me wrong. I'm gonna shit on the show for sure. I think overall this is not gonna be one of those shows that I'm going to like when we're done. I'm gonna look back fondly on it, but it has its moments. Like there's definitely moments in the show where I'm like, oh, this is nice. I like this, and a lot of that is like character interaction. Seth and Ryan interactions. Sandy and Ryan. Basically, those three interacting with each other is where I'm like, yeah, this is good, yeah. The rest of it though, I'm just like, yeah. I mean, everybody just gets shit on, pile more shit on top of it. They'll dig their way out eventually, and then they never do.
He throws a punch in the outsider. I remember that
Yeah.
because that's where the shooting happens. So let's move on to Marissa, Swisher's favorite character.
Ugh.
Marissa's in a very toxic household. She and her little sister live with their economic investor father, who is basically in debt so badly that he starts skimming money from his clients with the hope of investing it in something he can make money off of and then putting the money back into their accounts without anyone noticing.
Yep.
This is illegal.
Very.
And the reason why Jimmy does it isn't because he's trying to gain wealth or status or anything like that for himself. He's doing it because he's in love with his wife and he wants to provide the best of the best for his children. He cannot say no. Marissa does not need these things. She's fine. She would be just as happy being poor as she is rich as long as she's happy. Her mother does not let her be happy, though. Her mother's constantly insulting her figure, constantly telling her how to dress, how to look, the people she needs to be friends with. She's trying to micromanage Marissa's life, and it makes her depressed. And she copes with this by being I want to say borderline alcoholic, but I don't feel like there's such a thing as a borderline alcoholic. You're either an alcoholic or you're not. And I think Marissa's an alcoholic at times. She's also a pill popper. And they make several references to Marissa's enjoyment of the drugs all the way through season 1 and even into season 2. So Marissa is definitely self-medicating. And self-medicating is a great word of saying she's abusing drugs. But she stops when she starts to get close to Ryan. Ryan is someone that she feels safe around and she starts to mellow out about. She also loses all of her friends throughout season 1 with the exception of her best friend, be it Summer. And Summer's really cool, and I don't know why Zach hates her. That's Zach Swisher. God damn it, I did it again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So Marissa's definitely a high-end flake, if you will. And with all the other characters, even Caleb to an extent in season 2, I would say that there's only one character who generally does not care about everyone else. And I'd say that's Marissa. Marissa's very one-track. She lives to make her mom's life a living hell. Because she feels her mom has made her life a living hell. And rewatching this, I'm mostly through season 2. I think I'm on the back quarter of season 2. Up until the point I'm at in season 2, she's still just trying to find ways to piss off her mom. And that's what she's about. Like there's not a lot of situations where she's going to come in and help out Ryan or Seth or even Summer. They're the ones helping her out. And I think that's a pretty big indicative point about her as a character. Any thoughts?
I mean, when it comes to Marissa, I guess my biggest problem with her is that I just don't like characters that everything is world ending. Like it never stops with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand. Yes, she definitely has been dealt a piss poor hand when it comes to the people who are trying to tell her how to run her life, and not even tell her, who are just trying to run her life. Um, but I just don't. I personally cannot empathize with this character. You know, because for as bad as things are, she never gives herself a chance by trying to look on the bright side. And that's kind of a mentality that I have for a lot of these characters. Like I understand she's 16, 17 in the show, um, and so I definitely didn't have this mentality when I was younger either. But watching the show now, it's like if you are constantly just an asshole to everyone around you and to yourself all the time, you're not going to give yourself a chance to make things better. And I don't think she gives herself or anyone else a chance to help her make things better.
Well, she gives other people the chance. She herself never helps herself or others around her. And I think one of the
Right.
big things about Marissa as a character, there are certain character types that are in every show. Marissa's not the antagonist, but she's the
No, not at all.
catalyst for just about every issue that exists in this show for the first 3 seasons.
Bingo.
Like, that is who she is. If there's a problem, it's her fault. And it's not even her fault because it's a minor problem. Like, there are things that Seth and Summer do, and even Ryan to an extent, that they do because it fits their character. Like, Ryan is a hothead because he doesn't know that Ryan's like a dog who just gets adopted and overeats all the time because he overeats because the dog doesn't know when he's going to get food again. So
Right.
he overeats. And that's Ryan to an extent. Ryan doesn't know if he's going to be here tomorrow, so he has to behave in a way that he feels he can protect himself in. It causes problems, but it makes sense. Marissa just starts doing things, especially in season 2, for the sake of doing them, just to cause conflict. And not even like her sister, because when her sister is debuted or re-debuted in season 3 and 4, she becomes that character, but she gets more glee out of it. She starts doing things because she can. She doesn't really give a fuck. She's a sociopath in a lot of regards. But Marissa's just kind of a mess. And that's part of the whole point of her character. She's just a mess. Like, every season, she gets involved with the wrong people for the wrong reasons. It is a running gag that no one's laughing at.
Yeah. And I think that another big thing about her is that I don't think she ever tries to take the full weight of her mistakes. Um, you know, she does apologize at certain points, but a lot of them are just her apologizing because she like that's what you do when you fuck up. Not because
Mm-hmm.
I think she's genuinely sorry. It's it's always, and it's not even really an apology. It's a lot of I didn't mean for this to happen. Well, it's not about what you meant to happen. It's about what actually happened. And I don't think she ever takes the full weight of the responsibility of any of the problems that she causes,
I do
whether they be inadvertent or not.
I do agree with some of that. When we get to the stuff with Ryan and her at the end of season 1 where they break up, I do believe she's sorry that she didn't believe Ryan. But I also
Hmm.
don't think, and I agree with you on this point, she doesn't understand the weight that comes with these decisions. She thinks because she's sorry and because she apologized, that should absolve the situation. But you don't
Right.
realize that these situations cause their own emotional impacts on someone, and you have to allow that to exist because you can't just ignore that. And she becomes almost upset that other people are mad at her. And if it was one thing, like it was done like with Ryan, like that whole arc that we'll get to, Ryan was constantly being shat on by people, and he was getting upset because no one was believing him, but he was right, and no one wanted to listen. But
Yeah.
when Marissa fucks up, she thinks she's right when she's doing it, and then when she finds out that she was wrong the entire time, she doesn't understand that she has to accept the fact that she caused a lot of damage by basically being pretty cruel. Because at one point she calls Ryan pathetic.
Yeah.
So like that's a pretty cruel thing to say to someone you claim to love. So there's a lot of issues with Marissa. But let's move on to our favorite Hebrew hero himself, Seth Cohen. Seth is a video game comic book aficionado.
Hmm.
He's lived in Newport Beach his entire life. He's well aware of all the Harbor High School antics, and he's been a constant bully of all of them. He hates living there, and he's on the verge of an emotional breakdown when we meet him.
Mm-hmm.
He's in love with a girl who he's never talked to in Summer Roberts, and listen, Seth, I rep and get exactly what you're talking about. I had many a high school flames who I was in love with, whom never spoke a singular note to me.
Yeah, go ahead and put me in that boat too.
I think every guy and every girl has had someone like that, where you just see them smile and you're like, I'm going to marry them.
Yeah, he you could say he's definitely obsessed. He's got an obsessive personality to a point.
Yes.
You see his obsession over Summer, his obsession over comic books, more specifically his obsession with Brian Michael Bendis. Um, yeah, that name comes up way more than it should in the first season.
Same with the second.
Great, awesome, cool, can't wait. Um,
Worst writer ever.
and he also kind of like is he not obsessed, but it goes along the same lines where he latches on to things very strongly, and that's shown to be true when Ryan comes around, and he immediately latches on to Ryan, and when Ryan gives back,
Mm-hmm.
gives him something to go off of, that bond immediately becomes strong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like in a bad sense this time where he's obsessed over Summer or with his comic books or sailing or whatever. It's this time he finally has someone he can talk to, and he's really an interesting character because he's not a bad guy or weird by any like crazy sense. Like, yes, naming your boat after a girl you've never talked to is creepy. Um,
But it's also a
but
really
he
good
he
name,
doesn't.
though. The Summer Breeze, like,
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't do anything that would really like convey him to be like a weirdo other than he just doesn't like the things that the people of Newport like. He doesn't play water polo. He's not into being a socialite or shopping. He doesn't want to do the cotillion. He doesn't care about all these things. He just wants to be a teenager. And because of that, he might as well be crucified by all the other students at the harbor school. You know?
he has mentioned before that he's never really had a friend.
Yeah.
And that plays into his almost neurotic personality because he's never had people to lean on before besides his parents. It also explains why he's really close with his grandfather because he's got like 6 people in his life. One of them is his maid. So when Ryan gets there, he does get attached, but almost in a very normalized way, but he's still very neurotic from the 16 years prior of not having anyone there to be his friend. So he's very clingy and very needy, but he's also very aware of this. And he tries his best to not be. And he ends up finding people who appreciate him. And there's a scene in season 2 where Summer and him basically have that realization where she loves him because he's so neurotic.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the reaffirmation of who he is. So he doesn't do creepy things and he doesn't do violent things. And I think he does break the law a few times, but it's always done tongue-in-cheekly. Like when he's courting Alex, who's played by Olivia Wilde, he steals his grandfather's car. Like he still stole a car, but it's his grandfather's car. And he didn't try to run. He knew he'd get caught. So like there's these very tongue-in-cheek things that he does. And he's generally a good guy who just does not want to be in Newport. He hates the place. And when he goes in season 2, he ends up starting the season off in Portland. He's normal. He actually has girls that are like flocking to him in this city. And Luke even says, like, you need to seal the deal with that chick. And he's like, I don't know, man. Because he's still in love with Summer. So he's a very normal character. Because when you think about kids in high school, they're obsessive. They're neurotic. They have trust issues. He's a very genuine character. Even though some of his mannerisms and his antics seem very hammy. But I think that gives him also a unique personality that defines Seth Cohen as a specific character beyond just the general hoi polloi of other teenage high school angsty teens. So,
Yeah, that's true. I
so,
definitely agree.
so let's move on to Luke. Luke's the main character for only season 1, and he's one of my favorite what if characters. Luke starts off the first 2 arcs of the season, because we broke these down into arcs. We'll get to the arcs later. As the antagonist. It was him and Julie
Yeah.
Cooper. But by the midway point, even before the midway point, Luke ends up basically having to readjust to being an outcast and gets basically befriended by his ex-girlfriend in Marissa, um, as well as Ryan, Seth, and Summer, and the 5 of them become kind of a group.
Yeah.
And he goes through a little bit of a growing process, and he's the captain of the water polo team. He's very sexually active. You can tell he doesn't really have a lot of parental guidance. He's got a good father. He really does. But his mother seems overwhelmed. So you can tell that he's not exactly the most well-adjusted kid. But then again, who is in this show? Well, Anna.
Right.
Anna is.
True.
But he's looking for something that in between the legs of the women that he loves. And he doesn't really love anyone in that way until he starts to date Marissa's mother, Julie. And Julie uses it as a fling, but Luke ends up falling in love with her. And he ends up so distraught with how things have gone in his life so far in Newport, he opts to leave at the end of the show, at the end of the first season. And he moves to Portland with his father. Now, there's a sub
Yeah.
arc with Luke that kind of was the catalyst, and I think they did him wrong at times. Because after this arc, they kind of made him a punchline instead of letting him grow into being a more respectful, overall, all becoming character. Because Seth's the punchline. So trying to, force another kind of comedy character in just didn't work for me. Especially during the arc with Marissa and Trask. Because there's times in that where he's very calm, collective, and he's a great friend for Ryan during that whole kind of situation. And he's there for Marissa, and he's trying to help out. But then there's also times when they just make him this giant, dumb, stupid jock character. And it's
Yeah.
played for laughs. And none of that was done during his first 6 episodes where he's the villain. It's only after. And I feel like that was a huge swing and a miss with this character. I feel like you could have gotten a lot of miles out of a reformed bully who helps out Seth and Ryan. Now, part of the problem is they decided in season 2 and 3 to focus more on the adults as well, leaving little time for characters like Luke and Anna to get airtime, which is why I think they were ended up being written off. So, any thoughts on Luke?
Uh, he is. He's like you love to hate him
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of season 1 because he's supposed to be hateable. He's the rich, everything was handed to him, perfect chiseled jaw, athlete star of the school that everybody loves. So you're like, it's a normal trope that you love to hate. And then after everything happens and they're able to kind of, mend fences and fix everything up, and, they start to be friends, then he gets the shit kicked out of him with the news about his dad, and he becomes sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to see that he doesn't really have anybody, so he's appreciating everyone around him. And then he evolves even further than that, where you hate the fact that you're supposed to hate him when he starts having the affair with Marissa's mom, Julie, because you go, this is a good kid who's had some hard times. He's just making a mistake, but the mistake he's making is fucking up everything in this community. So you hate what he's doing, but you hate the fact that you're supposed to look at this and go, well, he's the bad guy in this situation. No matter how you look at it, yes, he's a kid making a dumb decision. He's still the bad guy, quote unquote. So he really does have an interesting evolution for a character, and he's like one of the only characters who actually evolves as a character throughout season 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas everybody else stays static for the most part. I'd say Ryan probably has like a decent evolution of a character where you see him go from like this like introverted teen rebel who's got issues and anger problems, where he becomes much more level-headed by the end of season 1, and you realize that he actually has a good head on his shoulders. He just hasn't had good experience to draw from.
Right. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the Coopers, Jimmy and Julie. They are Marissa's
Yes, sir.
mother, and they are terrible
They are Marissa's mother.
parents. Thank you. Jimmy is a caring but often blind father who, as we mentioned before, is siphoning money from people. At the end of the start of the first season, so like the first 6 episodes, he ends up losing his license. He ends up having to deal with the fact that he's bankrupt, and his wife then tells him that she wants a divorce. So he ends up
Yep.
moving into this tiny little fucking apartment, but it's actually like a lot better than any apartment that I've ever seen in my life. So like, what? Even the rich don't go broke the same way.
Right.
But he ends up becoming a really good character through the back half of this first season because he starts dating Kirsten's sister, who's actually really good for him.
Yep.
He starts to be a very active parent in his oldest daughter's life, and he starts to building towards a financial future with Sandy around a restaurant. And there's even a time when he finds out that Caleb is blackmailing his daughter, blackmailing Jimmy's daughter, and he goes and confronts Caleb and knocks him out. You know, risking his potential financial windfall for justice for his daughter.
Right.
And it shows you who he is in that moment. And they do a great job establishing that. His wife, on the other hand, is really the first
A
two
bitch.
seasons. Yeah, I mean, she's the first 2 seasons antagonist. I will say the first 3, but I don't remember a lot about season 3, so I have to rewatch it. She divorces Jimmy when she tells her that he's broke and possibly going to jail. When Jimmy tells her that they need to sell the house so he can afford to pay everyone back, she declines and says that you need to go to jail. When he's trying to get custody for their daughters, she threatens to send Marissa to an inpatient psychiatric group in San Diego without her father's consent, without Jimmy's consent. She's a bad
Yeah.
person. Like, it's not even
Yep.
objectively. Like you could look at someone like Luke. He's just having some issues. Like Kirsten, maybe she goofs every once in a while. Even Caleb, he's trying to protect his family, so he's being very judgmental. Julie's actively just trying to look out for what's best for her. And this is something that was really prevailing in the first 2 seasons. And she ends up marrying Caleb, Kirsten's father, at the end of the season 1 to get back into money, because that's all she's ever wanted, was to be rich. And she even says
Yeah.
at a certain point, when they were when her relationship with Jimmy was coming to an end, they had taken a spa trip, and as they were driving back, she even says to Kirsten, "All I dreamt about as a kid was watching these limos pass by and wondering who was in them, and wanting so badly to one day be that person and drive past somebody looking at me the same way I used to look at those people." So like all she wants to be is rich and powerful. And that's something that is very prevalent, very obvious, and it is a character defining trait. So,
Yeah. And it's revealed, fairly early on in the season, the first season, that she doesn't come from a great area
mhm.
of California. She definitely wasn't. She did not used to be. She has not been rich and powerful her entire life, and now that she's accustomed to it, she doesn't want to leave. Um, and at the end of season 1, when she marries Kirsten's father, Caleb, and at the engagement party, is it the engagement party or the actual reception party, where her sister shows up and like starts.
I think it's it's not the reception party. It's the rehearsal dinner and then the wedding.
Yes.
Because even though she
S-
doesn't have any lines, the sister of her is seen dancing in the final episode of the season.
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But her sister shows up to the rehearsal and basically starts spilling all these secrets that she's kept hidden for so long about how she used to be huge into like metal bands, and she wanted to move out to California to chase bands and be a groupie. Um,
Def Leppard.
and Def Leppard, yeah, like hair bands and stuff like that. Um, and they kind of have like a little talk with one another where she's basically like, she says to her, "You never wanted any of this. What happened?" And Julie was basically like, "Things change." And what she really means, the subtext of what she says there is really just, I have money now, and I'm like,
I've
basically, I'm the type
changed.
of person. Yeah, basically that I'm the type of person where as soon as I could get away from this bullshit, I'm never coming back, and I don't want to acknowledge who I was. I want to try and erase my past and become someone new. But the person she becomes is a total cunt,
Mm-hmm.
you know, emotionally abusive, only cares about herself, doesn't give a damn about her husband or her children. She just wants to be
Husbands.
husbands. She just wants to be the most powerful person in Newport. She wants to have the most influence. She wants to have all the respect. She just wants to be the best. And I'm hoping, as someone who's never seen the show, that it comes back to bite her in the ass.
Several times.
Good. Cool. So there's only one more main character for us left to talk.
And that's the best one, Summer. I don't know why. What was that line from the newsroom? I don't know why you like these people. No, I don't like these people, and I don't know why you do. But I'm gonna flip that and go, I like this person, and I don't know why you don't.
I said
Because
I don't dislike Summer.
Summer for me is like with Seth. She's very obvious that she's a regular teen with a little bit of oomph for character definition.
Yeah.
She's a daddy's girl. Her mother bailed on them a long time ago, or maybe she died. I forget. But it's always been her and her dad. And she even says, "My dad's my best friend," which I think is adorable.
Mhm.
And she has a reputation that she plays up, but it's revealed that the reputation's all a lie. And when you actually get to know her, she's into self-help. She has a very girly room for someone who's quote unquote very violent. She,
Mhm.
she has a little pony, Miss Princess Sparkles, that she talks to all the time, and it's
Yep.
adorable. She tells Seth she's prone to quote unquote rage blackouts.
It's one of my favorite lines in the beginning of the series.
Cohen,
She's
Cohen,
like,
you need to
I suffer
realize.
from rage blockouts.
She says to him, Cohen, you need to realize something. If you touch me, remember this. I suffer from rage blackouts. And Cohen's like, good to know.
And that gets brought up throughout like the next like 4 episodes, where he's just like, he's like, Summer suffers from rage blackouts, so you're gonna have to protect me.
He does say that quite a bit, even into season 2. So she's also someone who has a reputation of being a bit loose. Something that even is mentioned by Marissa.
Hmm.
And so Marissa has sex with Luke, I think.
Yes.
I think. Wait, is this right? I'm trying to think of when this happened because then when she talks about it with her, she's like, "Yep, discomfort. It's not very enjoyable the first time because you got to get used to things." And then she hooks up with Cohen after they start dating, and she's like, "It's not very good." And then she reveals that, like, Cohen, despite everything I may know and have said to other people, you were my first. And Seth's like, good to know. So we both suck then.
Yep.
And she's very. I don't want to say she's superficial because while she does like the superficiality of being rich, I don't think she judges people who aren't. She just likes to be pretty. She likes to feel cute. But I think she's superficial in the sense that a lot of what she projects isn't the bare grit of it all. She's very insecure. She's very needy. She's very loyal, and she's very open. But that's not who you think she is when you first meet her. And that's like very surface level stuff. And I think just like with Seth, she's one of the better characters to have a deep layered sense of who she is, and she mirrors a lot of Kirsten very, very well because her and Seth have nothing in common, but they're
Yeah.
drawn to each other for their differences. And I think one of the things I want to point out right now, while I have it on the tip of my brain, this show, at least in the first season, because they really abandoned this in season 2, in season 1, they do dual storylines that shadow one another almost every episode. And it's usually between the scope of Sandy and Ryan. They'll be in similar situations in each episode that play off of one another. And sometimes I think later on there was an episode where Anna and Kirsten were in a similar situation. And then Luke and Summer, I think, were in a similar situation. So there's a duality in the first season that does not exist in the second season. And
Right.
Summer ends up being the duality for Seth for Sandy's Kirsten. And I think that was a really nice kind of motif to play off of. She's devoutly loyal. She's not someone to cheat. And she's very kind when people are in need. She's the exact opposite of Marissa. Summer is actually very caring about other people. And oftentimes, suggests, why don't we just bail so we can go and take care of ourselves instead of dealing with all this nonsense. So
Right.
she's a really great character. I love, and Rachel Bilson is just
Right. And I just want to clarify what I said to you off air. I don't dislike the character of Summer. She's actually one of the few characters that I'm like pretty neutral towards. Uh,
I love.
but I don't find her particularly attractive in my taste. It has nothing to do with how attractive she actually is. It's just not. She's not my cup of tea.
I love her.
Yeah.
She's the only reason to watch Jumper.
I don't know if have I seen Jumper?
With Hayden Christensen.
Yes, I have seen Jumper.
She's also in the first season of Chuck for 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
she
don't
played
remember.
Lou, the sandwich making aficionado that Chuck falls for.
I don't think I remember. I've seen Chuck like all the way through like twice, but I don't remember a lot of it.
I know what we're doing in January.
No, I already have an idea for what we're doing in January. I'm picking the next one.
What are we doing for January? Well, you're picking December.
Well, December is we have to do Christmas stuff for December.
And we don't have to, but we're going to.
If you don't want to, we can do what I want to do.
What's your pitch?
We're doing Rocky 1 through 5, Rocky Balboa, and Creed 1 and 2.
That's 2 months worth. I'm not watching Creed. I'm letting you know now. I'm not watching Creed.
That's fine. I'll watch both the Creeds. You would rather watch Rocky 3 and Rocky 5 than watch Creed?
I'd rather not watch the Rockies. Truth be told.
Some of the greatest sports movies.
Like, there's
Ever
Rocky
made.
1 and 2 and Balboa, and the rest can skiddly-doo off into the sunset.
Rocky 4 is not bad.
It's not good either.
It's not. Rocky 2 is the best.
They quite literally have 2 10-minute training montages in Rocky 4. Why?
I'm aware.
Why?
Yeah.
And I don't disagree Rocky 2 is the best, but I do think Rocky Balboa often does not get the respect. Because I do think Rocky Balboa is as good as 2 is. Because there's so much more heart in Balboa.
I think that you can make an argument for Rocky Balboa with the scene between him and his son outside the restaurant.
I remember when you used to fit in the palm of my hand. You're 5'2". No, he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you on that point that you can make an argument. I think, personally, for me, Rocky 2 is the best just because you spent the entire first film and then the second film building up to the moment at the very end. And it's like one of the most satisfying moments in a sports movie, where you get the iconic line of, "Yo, Adrian, I did it."
I still think the best line is, "You ain't going to get a rematch. I don't want a rematch." And then they have a rematch.
I mean,
I ain't going to give you a rematch. And then Apollo starts talking about how he needs a rematch. Apollo, you just said there's not going to be a rematch. What are you doing?
The only good thing about Rocky 3 is Apollo. And that pretty much just the end of the movie where he's like, "You want to ring the bell?" And he goes, "Ding, ding."
I can do without the whole racism of Rocky 3.
Rocky 3 is not good, and you have to consider the fact. Well, there's the racism aspect and the fact that the beginning of the movie starts with a racist.
Rocky 3 was a shit show. We're going to have Thunderlips suplexing Rocky. Then we're going to have low-key insults against Rocky because he's white and can't do the things the black man can do. Then there's the undertones of Mr. T being shall we say, mentally deficient because of his race. Like, there's a lot of duality racism going on in that movie that I just don't want to be a part of. Like, y'all made a gross movie. Go away. Just go away,
Don't
Rocky
get me started on Rocky 5.
Rocky Five's great. Tommy
Shut your
Gun.
mouth.
Tommy Gun.
Tommy the Machine Gun.
Tommy Gun. Is Dave's already a machine gun name? Why are you giving him a machine? Oh, you guys are the worst.
Dude, that's not... Do you remember what the name of the guy he fights in Rocky Balboa is?
Mason the Line Dixon.
Mason the Line Dixon.
Of course I remember. It's still
His
better
name
than
is
Tommy
Mason
the
Dixon.
Machine Gun.
They're both not good names.
Mason's better, and at least Mason was a better antagonist because he was just a dude trying to prove, like, he was a Floyd Mayweather anagram at the time. Not so much the Floyd Mayweather being an abusive prick thing, but the insult around Mayweather in '06 was he's never fought anyone. Still kind of true. And with Mason, like, the whole angle of that was he's never fought anyone. And then he breaks his hand and basically fights his way through to a unanimous decision win, and everyone's like, he's got heart. And Mason wins, not by winning, but by, suffering through the injuries. But no, I don't want to do a Rocky fucking montage. God, that would be awful. It'd be 7 weeks of me hanging by my neck.
And what do you want to do for January?
Chuck!
We'll discuss it.
I will push Chuck back if you can think of a better thing for January.
Give me some time. I'll figure something out. We got 4 months. Well, we
have a month.
4 months. I don't know why I said months. We have 4 weeks.
Yes,
is what I meant to say.
we have a month.
My brain has been shut off. We have a month to figure it out, and if we can't figure anything out, we'll do December, and we'll still try and figure it out. And then if we can't figure anything out by December, we'll start Chuck in January.
Yes.
That's simple.
So right now, I'm going to let you pick all the movies for the Christmas stuff.
Okay.
Because I don't have too many. Like, we both agree that the live action Grinch is going to be on there. Like, duh.
Yeah.
Like, duh.
Well, we're gonna do a whole episode just about the 3 Grinch movies.
Yes. My only suggestion is doing non-Christmas Christmas movies, and if we do that, the faculty has to be involved.
That was actually one of my plans. We're gonna do an episode that's gonna be about non-Christmas Christmas movies.
Okay, so non-Christmas Christmas movies, the 3 Grinches. We're gonna do an episode of the Claymations, at least some of them.
The Claymations.
Because there's actually quite a bit, so I don't want to do all of them. But like we can do like Rudolph. That's the only one I know. That's the only one I remember.
Whichever the one has the 2 misers, the heat miser and the snow miser.
I'm Mr. Nice Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow. I'm Mr. Ice Christmas. I'm Mr. Timber. Sing, sing, sing. Ah! Arnold.
Yeah.
Arnold. So that leaves us with a week.
Probably do something along the lines of like favorite Christmas movies.
What about instead of favorite Christmas movies? Well, actually, how many weeks do we have in December? Hang on.
I think 4, right?
Yeah, we have. Technically, we have 3.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, technically, it can work with 4, but we're not going to be able to take a break, though. Are you all right with that?
Yeah, I mean, okay. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah.
We won't start in December. Then we'll start on the 29th, and that'll give us 4 weeks for Christmas. Because the 27th is the last Friday in December, and that's after Christmas. So if we go to the 29th, 6th, 11th, and 20th, we'll be able to get 4 weeks of Christmas.
6th, 13th, and 20th. Yeah.
At 29th, 6th, 13th, and 20th. 29th of November.
And that way we can take the week of Christmas off.
Yes. Well, I think we might just take the week of Christmas off anyway, or maybe take the week from the 26th to the 1st off, because the 31st is obviously the marathon.
Right. But yeah, like I don't know if you have a suggestion for the 4th week, then
my thought was Christmas specials.
We could do Christmas specials.
But I also like, but then again, we have to also think this won't just be a one and done thing for us. I imagine there's going to be more Christmas themed episodes in our future. Because my thought
Right.
was like, Santa Claus films, Jingle All the Way, but we could do those another year.
Oh
We don't need to do
yeah.
that. We don't need to do every single one this year.
You're right. Yeah.
So
No, you're definitely right, and we should definitely consider that for next year as well. Like that's why I was thinking we could just talk about like solo movies or like one of a series that is our favorites. Stuff like I know that I personally I love A Christmas Story, and I'm not sure what your opinion on A Christmas Story is.
I'd rather be punched in the face 1,000 times by Mason Line Dixon.
Right. So there's stuff that we could like I guilty pleasure Christmas movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. So we have a few years worth of Christmas options. So
Yeah.
we'll still stick with the Christmas idea, but I'm gonna fight you on the fucking Rocky idea. I'll tell you what.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll find something. I'll try and find something for January.
I'll tell
And
you
if I can't
what.
find anything, we'll do Chuck.
I
And
do
then
I do
after
also want,
Chuck,
not to interrupt you. I do also want to consider
yeah.
doing more TV shows than movies because it gives us long form formats to work with.
Right. I agree with you. It's just the trouble. We got to find shows that we both.
We don't
You
both
know,
need to want to watch.
that's true. But that's why I'm trying to like let me pick the next one.
Fair.
Because One Tree Hill was kind of like a collaboration between both of us of like we both love this show,
Mm-hmm.
so let's rewatch it and talk about it. This one is all you.
So what if for January and maybe for February, because I don't know how long the shows are going to be, we find a show that neither of us has watched,
Yeah, we could do that.
and then we can palate cleanse and march with Chuck.
Yeah, we could do that. I can start looking for shows after the end of the podcast, and we can start trying to find stuff that we both have never seen
I
and
would
go from
like
there.
it to stay in the teen drama realm, but I'm
Yeah,
not against going out of the genre.
yeah, and we got to try and find stuff that has like overarching stories,
Mm-hmm.
because like you and I are huge Scrubs fan, but doing a Scrubs podcast would be hard because episodes vary from episode to episode. There's not like huge overarching stories for one season.
There's minor ones, and they don't really have the same emphasis. Like in season 4, Elliot and JD are just at odds for most of the season. So,
Yeah,
but it's not really like a big arc. Like we're not waiting for it to end. It's just kind of the new normal. So I
right,
understand what you're trying to
exactly,
say with that. So yeah,
exactly.
we'll stick with the teen dramas. I think that'll work.
Oh yeah,
So
we'll find something.
who do we have for the recurring characters?
So it depends on where you want to start.
Let's start from the
You
top.
want? All right, we have Dawn and Trey Atwood, Ryan's mother and brother.
So Trey Atwood will play a much bigger role in season 2, but he's essentially a ne'er do well who stole a car and convinced Ryan to do him a favor on Thanksgiving of all days, to go back to
Hmm.
Chino and deliver a stolen car to a chop shop that he was supposed to finalize before he got thrown into prison.
Yep.
His behavior is not very liked, and Ryan is very upset with what he's being asked to do by Trey. His mother, on the other hand, is far more depressing because when the show starts, Ryan doesn't just get yelled at by his mother. Ryan gets abandoned by his mother.
Yeah.
At the end of the first episode, they come back to his house after getting into a fight with his mom's boyfriend. He leaves and calls Sandy for a few days and stays with him for a few days. Comes back to the house and finds it empty. His mother returns 3 episodes later for episode 4. 2 episodes later for episode 4. And basically says to him, the reason why I got so mad at you is because you're good. You're kind. You're nice. You're smart. And I feel like when you got arrested, I had failed the last good thing in my life. And it was so fucking heartbreaking to hear because you could tell that was some real honesty from that character. Because
Yeah.
who's willing to admit that just to get over someone being mad at them? Like, she was genuinely, and it makes sense. And she reveals to him that she's been clean for like a few days now or a few weeks, and she's not drinking or doing anything, and kind of things start to spiral when she decides, that she wants to be part of Ryan's life again, and they're going to find a place on the numbered streets near the Coens, so the Coens can help out, and they can also kind of like be like a weird amalgamous family. But she ends up getting drunk at a casino night for charity, and she ends up deciding to leave Ryan in the care of the Coens, and it's really hard because Kirsten's telling her like he needs a mother, and she's like, he has one. I'm no mother. And she ends up leaving Ryan, and Ryan's just kind of standing there dumbfounded. But at the end of the episode, dude, this episode broke me, physically broke me, because at the end, like they're kind of in the kitchen, and Kirsten says something to the extent like, no, I think it was Seth says like, oh, where's Ryan's mom? And Kirsten just goes, Ryan's gonna be staying with us for a while. And Ryan's like looking at her, and he just smiles like a dork, and goes, I'll unpack later. And I'm just like bawling at this point. Because it's like, oh, it's such a good scene in a show with so few of them.
You're right.
Kirsten delivered the line of the goddamn century. Ryan's going to be staying with us for a while. No, I'm sorry. That was episode 3, not episode 4. But still, like, oh. I was in tears. She does come back, I think, in season 3. And she's doing a lot better, but she's still trying to figure things out. I think she even ends up getting remarried at a certain point. She's in 3 episodes of season 3.
Okay.
And she's in a much better place, but she's still not in any kind of way, shape, or form able to take care of her son the way she feels he deserves. So she's in a better place, but still kind of like, I'm going to keep my distance, but keep in touch kind of thing. So she does get better in season 3. So who's next?
We have Anna.
Anna. So I actually have a singular photo just for Anna, because Anna, I believe it's Anna Stern? No, not Anna Stern. What is Anna's last name?
I'm pretty sure it is Stern,
Was
yeah.
it Anna Stern? Yeah, Anna Stern. Okay. So Anna Stern is all kinds of amazing. She is kind. She is considerate. She's funny. She loves the dorkness. And I love people who love the darkness. She is her own thing. She exists for no one's approval and demands no one's respect or judgment. She just is who she is. And she debuts at the debutante ball in episode 4 as Ryan's, what do they call her? Escort? He's a white knight. What is she, a debutante?
Something like that,
I think she debuts as Ryan's debutante. But Marissa gets stood up by Luke in that episode. So Ryan ends up not wanting to go because Luke and him are still feuding. But the way that everything shakes out, Seth, who ends up getting Summer to agree to take him because he's a white knight for her, she dumps Seth to go with Luke. Then Luke doesn't show up because Marissa's not showing up. And then Anna, who no longer has a partner because Ryan's opting out, ended up asking Seth to be her escort. And then Ryan shows up and escorts Marissa, much to Luke's chagrin. Poor Summer. Poor Summer. She did it to herself, but still, poor Summer. So she ends up falling for Seth almost instantly. But Seth starts to have dual feelings for both Summer and her. On paper, Anna and Seth are far more alike. But they also find out that Coen men need to be challenged by women who are vastly different than them. And Anna accepts this, although she does it begrudgingly and with a broken heart. And she ends up letting Seth and Summer be together, and she ends up leaving to go back to Pittsburgh for a few weeks, comes back and reveals to Seth that I miss that place too much, and I'm going to go back permanently. And again, Chad was bawling like a baby because he doesn't want Anna to go, because even though Anna's not his girlfriend anymore, he's considering her like his second best friend. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
Ryan and her. And Anna is just distraught. She doesn't want to leave her friends, but she doesn't want to be in this place anymore because this place is very toxic, and she acknowledges that.
Yep.
And as Anna's leaving the airport, Seth runs up to her, and there's a great callback, in episode 4. She's like, Seth, girls like confidence. Grow a pair of balls. And or be a man, I think is what she says.
Yeah.
Or be tough, something like that. And Seth's in tears, like, what am I going to do without you? And she says, confidence, Cohen, confidence, as she's tearing up and bawling herself. And like, I'm just sitting like, this is one of the most genuinely good relationships in the show. Like, it had a little turmoil, but it's good. They're not vindictive to each other. They're not cruel to each other. And I was just like, tears, all the tears. The only 2 times I had tears in this series so far. So what are your thoughts on Anna? Because Anna was a great character who does not get a lot of play in this series.
I think she's fantastic. I think she's the best part of the fucking show, because she was able. My biggest problem with teen drama shows, and I even said this when we were talking about One Tree Hill, is that they don't give you characters with common sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no one there to smack these fucking characters on the head and be like, "Hey, shut your fucking mouth and listen for one," instead of just acting, or instead of just doing and continuing to move past this and just acting on a whim. Stop and think. And she is very much a character who stops and thinks about things before she does them, for the most part, because she's aware that her actions have consequences, unlike everybody else who lives in this fucking fantasy land. Um, I think she's great. She's, like you said, smart, funny, caring, compassionate. Uh, she's awesome all the way around. And I was reading about her character, and apparently she was only supposed to be there for the one episode, the very first episode with the cotillion where she was introduced. But her character was so well received that they wrote her character back into the first season. Yeah.
Did not know
Uh,
that.
yeah. And I think it was great. I think she was awesome, and her relationship with Seth was also great. And there was kind of like, they realized that they had to do something to kind of get rid of her, because you could have Seth and Anna could have been the couple going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they had to, you have to get to what you set up in your first episode, and that is Seth wants Summer. And so they kind of had like a forced breakup, which is very kind of poor on the writing, where she's just like, yeah, I know you love Summer, whatever. I can't sit here and do this. And then to write her off the show entirely, they sent her back to Pittsburgh. I think I'm fine with it. I don't have any problems with the way that they did it, but still, I think she was one of the. I think keeping her around and inserting her into the cast as a main character would have been much better for the show, because I think her character being around to keep the other hotheads in check would probably have helped going forward.
I also think it would have done a great kind of service to having the idea of guys and gals being friends that aren't dating. Because that's something
Yes.
that's not really shown through the first 2 seasons. Because, not to go too much into the Marissa, guy, I can't remember his name. Ben McKenzie's.
Ryan.
Ryan. Marissa and Ryan, several times throughout the series, will say, like, when they break up, we can just go back to being friends. And they'll always say, when were we ever friends?
Right. Yeah. This just happened. Literally, they had the kickoff carnival in season 2, like the second episode. And they break up, or he says, I think we should take things slow and just be friends. And she literally says to him, we were never friends. That's the problem, Ryan.
And that's
It's like,
called
well,
back, and I think that's also a part in season 1. I think after the whole stuff with Crazy Kid, and it's also mentioned again later on in season 2. So it's a reoccurring motif.
yeah.
But I think Anna was, and this isn't just an OC issue. This is a big issue that I had with One Tree Hill. They would write off great secondary characters for no reason.
Yeah.
By the by, there's a song I think in season 2, and I thought it was from Brian Greenberg, and I was really excited. I was like, "Oh my god!" It's not. Just the guy sounds like him. But like you have characters like Anna, like Luke. Then you'll have a character like Lindsay and Alex. Now, granted, Alex I think would have fit well in the show, but not in the way they wanted to present her. You had all these extra great characters, and even in season 2, when they introduce a bunch of other characters, they introduce them as the new class or the new era, and
Right.
none of them make it through season 2. Like, really? And,
Yeah, I know.
and like one of them is Michael Cassidy, who ended up playing Lex Luthor's brother on Smallville. It was also Jimmy Olsen and Dawn of Justice, but he had like a blink and you miss it cameo. So like these are some really solid actors. Olivia Wilde was in season 2. The woman Shannon Lucio, who played Lindsay, was fantastic. All great characters you could have been building upon, but dude, they're just jobbers, fodder for the main cast to devour.
Yeah.
Not happy about that. Like, they even bring in Billy fucking Campbell. Like,
Yeah.
you bring in the Rocketeer for season 2, and you only use him for 9 episodes or 7 episodes? Are you fucking kidding me? You don't fuck with the Rocketeer like that. How dare you? But Anna's great.
Anna was awesome.
Anna's great. So who else do we have on the
We've got
list?
3 more. We've got Rachel, who is Sandy's partner / coworker at the law firm when he stops being a public defender and switches over to being a
Corporate
I don't know
lawyer.
what his fucking title is.
He's a corporate lawyer who's working for a giant firm that handles a lot of more. They handle a lot of hoity-toity clients, but the whole pitch was you get to do the same work you want to do, which was helping the public, and you'll be able to do more of that. All you have to do is basically help settle some of these disputes with our more high-end clients. And like, he's not being asked to do anything illegal or even anything shady. He's just being asked to do monotonous things. And one of the things that he's asked to do is to settle a issue between 2 yacht owners over noise violations, which was a recurring gag with him in that job. But through that, he also got to protect the wetlands, and he got to go after specific clients. So it really gave him, like, it was a nice kind of step from where he was. It wasn't so much like he was being truly destroyed by a corporate entity. He was just doing things he didn't really want to do. Not so much things that would destroy him morally. So that's fine. But she, and the reason why I bring her up is because she was so useless. And she had such a big impact initially on the show.
Yeah.
She shows up, tries to seduce Sandy on several different occasions, and then at Thanksgiving gets set up with Jimmy, and she's like, I don't want to date Jimmy. And then at the end of the episode, she's like, do you want to go out on a date sometime? And we never see her again.
I know. I was just about to say that. She just disappears into the ether.
They make a mention that she went out of town for something, but that's it.
I think Jimmy's apartment has a basement that we don't know of.
It would make
there's,
sense. It would make sense that some of these characters just disappear.
There's some limbs in the deep freeze.
By the way, it does say that Dr. Kim is in 3 episodes of season 3. I did not remember that. So there might be.
I don't give a shit about Dr. Kim.
Yes, you do. Rosalind Chow is amazing.
I don't give a shit about the character Dr. Kim.
I bet you can't name one other thing that she's been in.
No, I can't.
Of course you can't, because you're not a Star Trek fan, apparently. You fuck.
I was never a Star Trek guy.
She plays Kiko O'Brien, the wife of Chief Engineer O'Brien.
Yeah, I don't know shit about Star Trek.
Miles O'Brien. You whore.
I don't know shit about Star Trek. Just get on with it.
You whore. Who's up next after Rachel?
Teresa.
So Teresa is Ryan's Chino friend, played by Navi Rawat, I think is how you say that. And let me just say, I want to touch the hiney and everything else about her. Teresa, to me, is one of the peak characters in terms of attraction. She's got this sultry mentality, and it really emulates on screen. But she's also a good character. And now I know you didn't like her, and I don't know why. So please tell me why you had issues with Teresa.
She's manipulative.
She's not.
No, she is.
She's not.
Um, no, like the biggest thing is she will not be honest with Ryan because she thinks she's protecting him.
Yes, that's not manipulative. She's just hiding things. Manipulative is what Julie does. Are you really going to compare Teresa to Julie?
No, but she coerces Ryan into going back to Newport because she says that she loses the baby.
That's season 2.
She does.
We don't talk season 2.
Okay. Fine.
And
Doesn't
you
matter.
haven't gotten to the end of that story arc yet. So you can't judge her on it yet. Because I know what happens. So on what we know from the 8 episodes she's in for season 1, how would you describe her?
Annoying.
I can't.
A problem.
Okay, how is she a problem?
Because all she serves to do is take the main character away from where he's supposed to be. She takes the main character away from the setting and causes a problem, drives a wedge between the main character and who is supposed to be the main love interest. And that, as a narrative aspect, as a viewer of a TV show, is annoying to me.
But
because they have enough problems in Newport to deal with, so adding problems from Chino is a pain in the ass. And I will say the same thing for Trey as well. It was an unnecessary addition of problems.
You don't even know the worst of Trey yet.
Well, I'm sure I'll get there, but when I get there, I'll feel the same exact way.
I disagree with Teresa because she's actively trying to look out for Ryan's best interest, which in her mind means omitting certain facts. She knows who Ryan is, and she cares about him, genuinely cares about him. And let's be honest, between me and you, definitely a more healthy relationship option than Marissa.
Oh, the lesser of two evils is still evil.
I don't think she's evil, though. I think she's genuinely a good person.
I think she's a martyr. She needs to get off the cross. We need the wood.
What did Titus always say? Get off the cross. Get off the cross and use the wood to build a bridge to get over it.
Yeah, dude. Like, I'm sorry, but like her whole thing is like she never wants to appear as like I'm the person who needs help.
But that's a very real person, though.
Right.
I'm sure we know those. I'm sure we are those.
Right. But we are those people. But,
is this some self-loathing here, Swish?
Yes, 100%. Everything I talk about is always self-loathing. I'm a piece of shit, and I'm never going to get over that. All right?
I hate Teresa because she reminds me of myself.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I don't think I'm a martyr. I've never really like been the type of person like, I will sacrifice myself and go back to Eddie, and we will be happily ever after, and you can live your peaceful life here in Newport. You know, and the entire time when she goes back to Eddie, all that does is cause another problem for Ryan. Because he's constantly worried about her well-being when she's with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then not to mention she runs away from her engagement so that she can be with Ryan, who has a relationship.
No, at the time he's single.
Is in between a very complicated relationship.
Or another way of saying that is single.
You're a Ross apologist.
I'm not a Ross apologist. Fuck that show. Fuck that show so hard. Those codependent psychopaths. See, no, okay. See, on a break implies that you guys are pausing things. Ryan is outright single. He is not Ross.
Yeah, but she's technically not. She paused things.
Fair, but also I don't blame her. Because her boyfriend...
Got cold and ran away. I don't blame her for that.
She was getting abused.
What I blame her for... Yes, but we didn't know about that yet.
Right, but it was established that she was being abused. Like during that whole sequence, she was being abused. That's why she got cold feet. And she went back to him, I think, because he's got a good job and he can help provide. Like her basic idea is he's an abusive dick who I don't love, but at least I know I won't have to worry about going hungry, which, to be fair, is a very real problem with some people in this world. So like
Okay,
it's a
so
very relatable situation, I think.
yes, I'm not saying it's not. Look at it from my point of view and saying that when this happens, we don't know about the abuse.
True, true.
So all we know is that she ran away from her engagement and cheated on her potential fiance,
Yes.
who she never explicitly said that she was broken up with. Abuse or not, what we knew at the time still does not make her a good person.
Well,
You say what you want about Ryan, who was single. She was not.
right, right.
She ran away to this person who she had a previous past relationship with because she wanted to do damage to the current relationship she was in.
She didn't want to do damage to it. She didn't tell the boyfriend about the infidelity. But you remember what I said before. We can't just judge them on singular instances. There is a overwhelming narrative with all these characters that we have to keep in mind for season 1. And her narrative was she was in an abusive relationship. She ran to somebody she trusted, kind of rekindled emotions because they had dated before. They dated actually before Ryan left Chino. And she's always had a thing for Ryan. You know, that for Ryan, or for Teresa, Ryan is basically her version of Summer for Seth. She's always been in love with him, and she's always going to be in love with him, and she's always going to do the martyrdom thing because that's what characters in teen soaps do. I don't think she's a bad person. I do think she makes bad choices, though. And I don't think that's debatable. She does go back to an abusive relationship. That's not great. She then runs away again. And then decides that she's going to move back with her mother after planning to going to Atlanta. So, like, there's a lot of, like, what are you doing, Teresa? What's going on? So, she also does do a lot more in season 3. Not in terms of bulk, but in terms of effort. Like, you start to understand more who she is in season 3. I think she's actually a really good character, and I think she's a very real character. And that's something that I'm always going to praise on any of these shows, because there's so many outlandish, like, I don't know anyone like Caleb Nichol. Like, you can't tell me Caleb Nichol's a real person. I don't believe you. But a character like Teresa? Oh, yeah, I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
I'm going to stand by my decision to not like her.
That's fine. You don't need to like her. There are still 4 more episodes for you to watch that involve her. And I would like to see where you're at after those 4 episodes air. Or not air, but you watch to see how you feel about her. Because there's still a lot more there. So that'll be interesting. So do we have any other secondary characters to talk about for season 1?
Last one, Haley.
Haley. Oh, Haley. Everything that you said about Teresa should be applied to Haley.
Another problem-causing bitch named Haley. No,
Her name's
she
Haley.
starts off as a
Man-faced Haley.
She starts off as a problem, and then slowly becomes not a problem.
Until season 2, and she's a problem again.
You're right. But shows up out of the blue. This is my pool house. What a fucking cunty line to start with.
Right.
He's like, what are you doing in my pool house? She goes, what are you doing in my pool house? And it's like, who are you? Who the fuck are you? Just some random bitch.
Random cuntosaurus.
And then he eventually puts the pieces together.
You're Lindsay.
I don't know how.
Because it's
Lindsay.
Oh, sorry. You're Haley.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ryan, who's been here for all of like a month, is like, you must be Haley. And she's just like, yeah, it's me. And it's like, how did you deduce that, Sherlock?
Well, I do think they mention her.
They mention her like in that episode, so like the week leading up to her getting there, she gets mentioned. She never gets mentioned by name up until then.
Right, it's just my sister.
Yeah, it's my sister's off gallivanting around Europe or wherever it is she might be, and then she just shows up, and he's just like, "You must be Kirsten's sister," and it's like, you're dumber than a box of rocks. How'd you figure that out in one guess?
He's actually not, though.
Yeah, well, he looks like it.
That haircut does him no favors.
His decision making does him no favors.
It's his fashion with that forearm armband. What are you doing?
Yeah. hold on a second here. How this also this raises a different point. He may not be stupid, but
He ain't smart.
he makes piss poor decisions, and his logic leading up to those decisions is also bad. There's no way that this motherfucker would have figured out that this was Kirsten's sister in one go of it.
I think it's possible.
Also, he's not even alarmed seeing her there. She just walks out in his tank top and her underwear, and he's not like, I'm gonna go call the cops. He goes, you must be Haley. Like right off the bat. That's his first response. That makes zero sense.
Well, he's also the kind of guy who will jump on someone with a gun, so you know.
Yeah, well, he's also the kind of guy that tries to sleep with a supermodel that was dating his
Surrogate
step
grandfather.
his surrogate grandfather, yeah.
I mean, I would have.
I mean, yeah, we all would have, but he never got to even know the girl.
Who cares? She's not looking to be known. She's looking for fun.
No bullshit. After the conversations that they had, you could definitely see the reason that Caleb got rid of her. She even said that Caleb just has her around because he wants something fun to look at, and then after a while she'll be gone, and that's not what she wants.
Well, good for her. She
I
tries to seduce a 16-year-old.
I paid attention. Thank you.
Okay, fair enough, because I fell asleep during that episode.
Well, I mean, I don't blame you.
Was that the Chris McKay episode?
I don't remember what episode that was.
Because I fell asleep during the
was
Chris
just-
McKay episode as well. I think they're
It
the
was
same
some
episode.
party.
I think they're the same. No, maybe they're not. Outside of the girlfriend. Oh, it's the girlfriend. My bad.
Yeah,
Kristen's father,
probably,
Caleb, came to town with his 24-year-old new girlfriend, Gabrielle.
Yeah.
So I fell asleep during
She
the
was-
girlfriend and the Chris McKay episode.
Yeah. I fell asleep during whatever the second to last episode was.
Oh, you mean one of the big episodes that revealed how great of a person Teresa is?
Then I woke up and I rewatched it.
No, you didn't.
Yes. No, I absolutely did.
did you?
It was like I tried to finish it this morning around like 10 a.m. and I ended up falling asleep. I woke up probably around 4 and was like, I guess I should put this back on. So I actually finished the first season.
I actually think the strip is one of the better episodes of the season. Jokes aside, because I know I'm going to ride you about the Teresa thing, but the strip was a really strong episode. But we'll get there.
What an annoying introduction of problems that they didn't need.
But that's such a trope, though. Like the random prostitutes don't tell you that they're prostitutes.
Yeah.
It never happens. Never. Because, like, whatever happened, like, so let's just say that happens to me in real life. If I ever go to Vegas, I'm bringing a gun with me because I'm not dumb. And if I ever have a situation where I hang out with a bunch of hookers by accident, and then all of a sudden their pimps walk into my hotel room, I'm shooting them on sight. It's
Right.
not going to be a question.
And
I was not
it's not even-
propositioned. You walked in without my say-so. Now you're threatening me? You're dead.
Right. And even though stuff there is like some form of legal prostitution in Vegas, right?
Yes, but it's not in Vegas. Technically, what you're saying is there's legal prostitution in Nevada, which is true. There's not legal prostitution in Vegas. On the outskirts of Vegas, like, you know how Dublin's part of Columbus, but it's not Columbus?
Yeah.
Same idea. The place where prostitution is legal is right outside of Las Vegas. It's like a 20-minute drive, I think. And there's only a few places that are legalized, like the Bunny Ranch, which is very, very famous in pop culture lore. I think HBO even had a show about them.
Right, and they just walk up on him. She starts kissing him, and then she's like, "Oh, I know where we can go play, poker."
But I hardly know her.
Yeah, right. Idiot. I hate you. And then he's like, "Yeah, you spent all afternoon with this girl, so this could be $5,000." And it's like, first off, there's one of you. There's just you, and you're not intimidating whatsoever. You're a
No,
dude
there
with
was a
mustache.
second guy.
There was not a second guy at first. When they cut to the commercial and come back, then there's somehow more people in there because there was 4 girls and a guy, and it was the mustache guy, and they could have easily whooped mustache guy's ass.
Yeah, but there's also Beard Guy.
Beard guy didn't show up until later, though. That's what I'm saying.
Beard Guy was in there the whole time.
No, if you go back and watch when the pimp walks in, it's just mustache guy. I promise you.
Are you referring to the pimp as the mustache guy, or is the pimp a different guy to you?
The pimp is mustache guy.
Okay, just clarifying. No, there's a beard guy. Because in my head, I
Yeah,
was thinking I would shoot the beard guy in the knee, and then ask the pimp if he wanted to die. Because like I was rehearsing the
wouldn't
scene in
even.
my head.
Nobody gets asked a question. The pimps walk in, I shoot the first one. The second one tries to make a move, I shoot him too.
Well, I want to shoot the guy in the kneecap because I want to see what would happen. I want to see a kneecap explode.
That's the difference between me and you, Chad. Is I want results.
I want to play.
I don't have time. Wait, uh,
You're Shadow,
That's
I'm Chance. You want to just be. I want to play.
right. What? I don't know. Like, I don't know how much NXT you watch. Probably none.
Because fuck that company.
But the Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, the two of the 4 horsewomen that are with Baszler.
You mean 2 of the 8 horsewomen? Because
Right,
there's
yeah.
2?
4 horsewomen in WWE because they're stupid. So those 2 girls with Baszler, they wear shirts out to the ring. One says "Let's play" and the other says "Let's fight." And you are "Let's play" and I am "Let's fight."
I'm very much the dog that kills everything because he's playing too rough.
All right. Whereas like I said, you're the type who walks up and you're like, "All right, I'm gonna toy with this guy. Let's shoot him in the knee." And I'm like, I'm aiming for the jugular on everything.
And I just shove my finger in. Does this hurt? How badly does this hurt?
Right. I'm just like I don't have time for this. I want results. Let's go.
That's fair. So let's talk about results. Let's talk about the arcs. We broke the 27 episodes in season 1 down into like what, 5 arcs?
5 arcs. Yep.
Now I haven't done much research into the show yet, like we did with One Tree Hill and with Cobra Kai.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe this show is not supposed to get 27 episodes. I believe this was supposed to be a 6 to 8 episode season because it starts in August 5th, which is not uncommon if you're trying to, kill the summer months. And for TV, the summer months include September. CW has a few shows that they air in the summer. That's exclusive for the summer. And they usually run from July to about September, sometimes August to September. So I think what ended up happening is this got monumental ratings. It was getting 8 million viewers, which even in 2003 was pretty good. So I think they ended up greenlighting it for more, and they just kept adding more because the general season orders 20 to 23 episodes. So I think this show ended up surprising executives with how strong it was because by episodes 5, they were getting 9s. So there was definitely a lot of hype around this show. So a lot of fucking episodes. A lot of episodes. Unlike Chuck, which has like 100. Why? Why did that show get so mired by NBC?
If I remember correctly, OC has 92 episodes total.
Yeah, and 94 of them are in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, thinking about that, it's got 92 episodes overall, and there's 27 in the first season.
It's 26 in season 2, I think. 24 and 25.
Yeah, it's 27, 24, 25, and then 16. But yeah, there's basically 30% of the entire show takes place in the first season.
Yep. I mean, that kind of makes sense because, there's still 70% of the show across 3 seasons, so.
Right. I mean, but looking at the grand scheme of things, I just realized it now, is that it starts the summer before their junior year of high school.
And it goes until the end of their junior year. Actually, no.
And it goes until the beginning of the summer
it doesn't say their junior year. I'm pretty sure no, because season 3 is also in high school. So it's kind of assumed that they're sophomores, which is, again, another teen drama trope. Everyone's always 16. They're sophomores. Because season 3, I know for a fact, starts in high school because they're still dealing with the dean of the school.
Okay.
But it's...
Well, then it's the summer before their sophomore year. Then.
Right. Your timing is correct because they are in the summer of their first break from high school. And then they go back to school. And then season 2 and season 3. It goes
all the way through their school year to the beginning of summer, and then season 2 picks up at the end of summer, beginning of the school year of their junior year.
There are 3 kickoff carnival episodes, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so then, so the beginning of season 2 starts with their junior year.
Yes, that makes sense. And season 4 is all kinds of weird because there's like a time jump at the end. God, I love time jumps.
There's time jumps. There's alternate universes, from what I've read. There's hallucinatory dreams.
I don't think there's an alternate universe, but there's definitely a hallucinated dream, which I think may be
Uh,
hand in hand with what
I
you're
was
referring to.
reading something. There's something to do with an alternate timeline in season 4 where something happens with Sandy.
I think that's a dream, though. I think.
Mm,
Because I remember the
I
episode that
don't
you're
know.
talking about. I don't remember the details, but they do kind of get weird in season 4.
Regardless, here we are, straight out of Chino.
Straight out of Chino. With the premiere! So what's the first
Ryan
arc called?
Atwood. The first arc is the arrival of Ryan Atwood in the OC and will he stay?
The Will He Stay arc. A.K.A. the Straight Out of Chino arc.
Yeah.
The namesake for the show. So we already mentioned before his backstory. He, down on his luck, downtrodden, poor, lonely kid, moves in. But in episode 2, they start to realize that, we can't keep him. We got to put him up with child services. It's just the way things need to be. So instead of hearing that, Ryan decides to run away. And Seth catches him as he's leaving. And he's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, I'm not going to the system, man. Like, it ain't going to happen. My mom's ex-boyfriend lives out in Houston. He said if I was ever in town to stop by and see him, implying that he has had some decent male role models in his life. Seth comes up with a different idea and ends up taking him to a model home that has basically been forgotten about because the contractor stopped work on it months ago. And it's even a point of contention with Kirsten because she points out the fact that this home has been sitting there for so long that they're going to have to do more work to replace some of the work that was already done because of the fact that a lot of it was left unfinished and the structure's not as intact as they were hoping for. So he ends up stashing out there. Things happen. Bullies arrive. Marissa falls in love with Ryan under the pale moonlight with candlelight and terrible punk pop playing on the radio, as one does in the early 2000s. And her boyfriend, Luke at the time, rolls up with his goon squad, gets into a fight with Ryan, knocks him out. Like, Ryan loses the fight decisively. But it's not even like a gang attack. Like, Luke just knocks him the fuck out. But in the commotion, they knock over a candle that Ryan had lit, and it starts a fire. Ryan takes full responsibility for it. And every time he walks into a room with Caleb plays the old 1970 song, Fire. I wish that would have been hilarious. Because Caleb having a sense of humor would have been just the most obscure thing. But he takes responsibility, and they kind of realize that, like, all right, things are going sideways. And before he gets arrested for burning down the house and taking ownership of it, Luke rolls up as Ryan's walking away, kind of all like smoked out from the flames, because Ryan ended up getting dragged out of the house by Luke, because Luke's not a terrible human being. He's just very insecure. Yeah. And then Luke goes looking for Ryan to ensure that he is in fact still alive, because he was unsure. And Luke ends up taking responsibility for the fire as well alongside Ryan. And it's like that moment that you realize that Luke's not a complete and total shitbag. But it's episode 3, The Gamble, where Ryan ends up being officially welcomed into the Cohen house full time. Ryan's mom had shown up. Actually, no, Sandy had gone looking for Ryan's mom. She's working at a laundromat, and it's kind of revealed that Dawn Atwood has a lot of substance issues. But they try to work past it. Obviously, things go awry. She caused a commotion at the casino night, and Kirsten makes the decision that Ryan has to stay. And it's really it's so heartwarming. It's tears, all the tears. So, thoughts on the first arc?
It's a fine setup arc. You have to introduce the main character to his new cast of kooks and zany fools who he's going to interact with. I mean, there's worse ways to set up a TV show.
And I will say, I like that they did it over 3 episodes. I think each episode had its own unique kind of feel to it, while still telling the same story and not taking too long to get to the point.
Mm-hmm.
When we think about One Tree Hill, it was I hate my brother, I hate my father, I hate everyone, and I don't want to do these dumb things. Now I'm on the basketball team. What?
Yeah.
In one episode? What? Like, you could have ended season 1 with the game, where Luke and Nathan finally go one-on-one, but we already talked about the fact that show had pacing issues. Not to say what the OC was perfect, but I think the OC... See, now I think... Hear me when I say this.
Okay.
You can argue the script content for each episode was not of superior quality. But I think you would have to agree with me, if you really thought about it, that the pacing for the OC, at least through the first 2 seasons, is better than the pacing for One Tree Hill.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to argue about script content per episode, because there's some things in the OC I could see why people wouldn't like. But, like, the Anna-Seth relationship was never supposed to be a big relationship, so it wasn't.
Right.
They don't do a lot of nonsensical will they, won't theys. They always make sure that the pacing of the relationships makes sense, and that there's always a logical reason for them to end. With Seth was brokenhearted that the only kid he ever felt was a friend was gone, and that his father and mother let him leave, so he was angry. And he tried to explain that to Summer, but she's a kid, just like he's a kid, and they make impulsive decisions. So, like, it all makes sense, unlike in the One Tree Hill, where it's just dumb. Chad Michael Murray yelling at random women.
This is true.
He breaks up with Peyton because Peyton's not ready to get married, and they're 19. What?
Well, but look at the experience they could draw from. His mom got pregnant when she was a teenager. His best friend got married to his half brother at 17.
Exactly. So they're clearly making fine choices. But then you look at the
Yeah.
OC, Ryan breaks up with Marissa because Marissa didn't believe him and refused to see any possibility that he was telling the truth. And he was betrayed emotionally by that. This show's beyond stupid at times with its over-the-top antics, but that's a very real reason to break up with someone. I needed you to believe me, and you didn't.
No, yeah, I agree with that. It's just the way that they got there.
Oh yeah, it's
sucked.
dumb. It's dumb. It's big dumb.
No, so
It's big
I
dumb.
will agree with you that it has great moments in it, but you have to agree with me that 3/4 of this show is shit.
I'm not going to
through,
agree that it's shit. I will agree that it's not quality.
It's wading through garbage to get to a bit of shoreline that is like an actually like pretty piece of beach.
Well, yes, but the show's
You know
supposed
what
to
I'm
be a soap, so the garbage is implied to exist.
There's not enough mustachioed Spanish men for me. I only watch telenovelas.
Which is literally a joke in this fucking series.
Raul and his handlebar mustache.
That's during the episode, the telenovela.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Seth Cohen. So what's the next arc?
The arc from episode 4 to episode 9 is the will they, won't they arc regarding whether or not Marissa is going to break up with Luke and finally get together with new bad boy Ryan.
And there's a lot of interesting moments throughout this. Like, we've already touched on the cotillion, which is the debut. I don't know why saying the debut fucks with me so hard, but it does. There's moments in the debut that we don't address or haven't yet, which was the fight with Jimmy Cooper and Marissa's friend Holly's father. He wants to invest in new properties because apparently the pharmaceutical industry isn't doing so well. Buddy, if you had waited a week, you would have realized how much of a lie that was.
Yeah.
So he ends up getting into a confrontation with Jimmy because Jimmy says flat out, "I don't have your money." But Holly's father refuses to listen to reason and does it at the cotillion. Holly's father's a bit of an asshole. Because you're
Agreed.
all rich motherfuckers, you don't need to do it there. Fight breaks out. Sandy tries to break it up, gets punched in the face by Holly's father, and not Luke. Why did I say Luke? Luke does help, though.
Ryan.
Luke does help. Ryan ends up interjecting and punching out Holly's father as Luke separates, other combatants. It's very funny. I much love that episode. That episode's great. And even Anna says to the extent like, maybe this place isn't going to be too bad after all.
Mm-hmm.
In The Outsider, Ryan starts working at a local Newport hangout where everything's served on plastic apparently and costs $50.
That local Newport hangout is Joe's Crab Shack. No, I'm like, it's a Red Lobster.
I mean, at that point, you're basically describing Red Lobster, $50 for
It,
plastic food on paper
it
plates.
might as well.
Right? Everyone, Red Lobster and Papa John's, same reasons anyone goes to those two places is because of for Red Lobster, butter sauce, and for Papa John's, the garlic butter sauce. That's it.
No, I go to Red Lobster because I'm there for Cheddar Bay biscuits.
So there's two reasons to go to Red Lobster. Neither of them is the actual lobsters.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, honestly, I could go there and just fill up on biscuits and order like an appetizer and be like, all right, just keep bringing me biscuits
Yup.
and alcohol.
Yup. Well, biscuits for me, but yup. So he ends up meeting someone from Corona. And he hates the yuppies of the beach.
Oh, yeah, Donnie.
Donnie. If you ever meet someone named Donnie, be prepared to not like him.
Yeah.
That's a life rule. Basically, this is an episode where Marissa's trying to get Ryan to hang out with her, and they set up a babysitting date because they're neighbors. Marissa lives next door to the Cohen Atwoods, and she's babysitting her little sister Shailene Woodley, and she's like, "I'm making mac and cheese. Why don't you come over and we can hang out?" Ryan says, "Okay," but ends up getting dragged to a party, and has to save Seth because Seth is about to hang out with a hooker or stripper. Sorry, she's a dancer. She's a dancer who's looking for a green card. And Ryan's like, nah, we're not fucking with that. And they end up finding out that a Range Rover?
Yeah, their Range Rover got trashed.
It got trashed so bad. And when asked about it, Seth's like, yeah, it happened in the IMAX parking lot. And Sandy was not finding that at all to be believable. And he just goes, you're going to have to tell your mother that.
Yeah, he's like, you're gonna have to explain this one to your mother.
And later on in the season, he's like, yeah, the Range Rover wasn't messed up in an IMAX parking lot. And Kirsten goes, I knew that wasn't true. But eventually Donnie and Seth end up going to a party because Ryan finally hangs out with Marissa. And while things are picking up between the two of them, basically Seth is witnessed to Donnie pulling out a gun, and he's like, Ryan, you got to get here. Ryan shows up. Luke gets the gun pointed in his face. Ryan jumps on the gun, and it ends up going off and shooting Luke in the arm. And Donnie goes, well, what are you doing, man? I was just messing with him. And he runs off, only to be arrested off screen. Luke's in the hospital, and Marissa and him reconcile. Fantastic. And, you could tell in that episode, the end of the episode, Ryan asks Marissa, do you want me to stay? And Marissa gives him the, no, I'm getting back together line. No, I'm going to be here for a while. And Ryan just went, God damn it. And he sulked off into the darkness, never to be seen from again. So, yes.
The very first instance of where I started to hate Marissa. I'm just like, this guy sucks. I don't care if he's in the hospital. He sucks.
I started hating Marissa in the first episode, so you were kind of late to that party.
I mean, she has one good scene in the entire season, and that's the beginning scene where she first meets her, where she's like, can I bum a cig? And even then, you kind of hate her because she smokes.
Right? I try to forget that as best I can. Who are you? Whoever you want me to be. I would have whooped your ass if you said that to me.
What a terrible line.
Oh. You're the worst.
I hate it. And then he straight up just tells her, oh, this is my entire history. And she goes, oh, so you're his nephew?
Yeah, you're from Seattle.
You're the nephew from Seattle? And he's just like, Yeah,
Oh, wait, no.
nephew
Oh, I'm
from
sorry.
Seattle.
I screwed up. She said, oh, you're the nephew from Boston. And then later on, oh, you're the nephew from Seattle, right? And he's like, yeah. And then somebody else goes, I thought you were from Boston. Dad's from Seattle.
Yeah, he's like, he said mom's from Boston, dad's from Seattle.
So, by the by, that episode was on my birthday. I would have been 16? 17. 17. I would have been 17 when this episode came out. Goddamn.
Huh.
Goddamn. Goddamn.
2003.
Yep.
So I would have been. What month was this?
September 2nd.
Okay, so this would have been 27 days before my 8th birthday.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
Goddamn. We're 11 years apart. I fucking hate. No, we're 9 years apart. I hate you. Hate you.
Yep, because I was born in '95.
I hate your youth.
Oh, trust me, there's not
It's-
much youth to it.
It's fading. Good.
Oh,
the
it's going fast, man. My knees are held together by paper clips and Hulk Hogan prayers.
Get the Sanderson sisters over here.
Yeah, I'm holding on for dear life. I've got arthritis in both my knees, my shoulder, and one finger on my left hand.
Good. You deserve it.
That's not even a joke. I have arthritis in one finger on my left hand.
There's a story there that I want to hear one day, not tonight. So in the
Oh,
girlfriend,
Yeah. The girlfriend.
in the girlfriend, Kirsten's father Caleb returns to town, and he's like,
Right.
Sanderson. I like that he calls Sandy Sanderson. Such a
It's
douche move.
Fantastic.
It's
yeah.
such a douche move.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
Turkleton.
Yep. Turkleton and Mrs. Turkleton.
This is Turkleton.
Sir, do
you-
you think my name is
my-
Turkleton?
Turkleton.
So Marissa can't decide between Luke and Ryan. Ryan ends up trying to hook up with Caleb's girlfriend. Marissa walks in to tell him the good news. I've picked you. And he's three fingers, two knuckles deep inside this chick.
Yeah. And we're not just talking like the mid knuckle. He's down at the knuckle.
Yeah, like you have to realize that your hand has technically like three knuckles. Technically, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess each bend is a knuckle, right, of the finger. But like
Basically, he's got a Von Erich iron claw in this girl's vagina.
he's ring, middle, and pointer deep in, like to the hilt, finger blasting the shit out of her. And Marissa walks in and goes, "Oh, so that's what that's supposed to feel like." Luke's been doing it wrong, and basically leaves as Ryan's trying to unhinge his hand from her Venus flytrap. We're being a little bit extra explicit. That's not what happened. I think they're just making out.
They were making out.
Yeah.
That's all that happened.
But ours is funnier.
I like the imagery of him doing the Von Erich iron ocean.
I'm gonna try that one day and see if it works.
just latching on for dear life.
Hey babe, hang on, I gotta try something. Ow! Why are you doing that?
You run out of the bathroom into the bedroom like Carrie Von Erich.
I slam my hand around my wrist like
I
Carrie
guess
did.
you'd be more like Kevin because you're wearing just your underwear and no shoes.
You don't know if I'm wearing shoes. Don't prejudge me.
Well, none of us can be like Carrie Von Erich. I mean, he only had one leg.
He only had 1 foot, and technically that's not true. He had 1.5 feet. He was missing his toes.
Oh, so the same as your height, about 1.5 feet?
Ah! Keep it up, bitch.
I guess
Your arthritis is gonna make you 5'2" real fast.
Oh, I'll be much shorter than that. I'll be like Cotton from King of the Hill. They're gonna cut me off at the knees and paste my ankles to my knees.
I ain't got no shin bones.
I ain't got no shins.
So basically, Ryan runs out after her. There's like a little confrontation, and Ryan eventually finds out where she is, and he knocks on the door, and she's already slept with Luke.
Yep.
It's too late, bitch. It was 2 minutes. What? So we already know that Marissa will fuck people she's not in love with just to spitefully get back at people. I may have
This just
defended
in.
Marissa's abuse and why she became the person she is. She's not a good person,
This just in. Marissa hate fucks.
though. Which is something that we
Just
will find out quite indubitably in season 2.
indubitably.
Indubitably, she hate fucks a gardener and a girl.
Yeah.
Yup. So in episode 7, Marissa's not taking the divorce too well. I think this is where they go down to Mexico. You boys like
Tijuana.
You boys like Mexico? The TJ. And her father tells her when they're on the road. Seth ends up he doesn't end up nearly killing them. Summer ends up nearly killing them by trying to yank the wheel, which is, I don't care if you're a 5'0" 100-pound girl. If you yank the steering wheel out of my hand, I'm punching you in the side of your head because you are going to kill us all. Don't
Here's the
do
thing,
that.
man. I feel like there's a very small selection of these men left, and I'm definitely in that selection of men where if you have it coming, I'll punch you in the head. I don't care if you're a woman. You will get all of my fist in your face.
I'm of the mindset that I don't care of your gender. If you are trying to harm me in any way, I have every right to defend myself, regardless of your genitalia. If you are trying to yank the steering wheel away from me while we're driving on the freeway at excess of 70 miles an hour, I'm punching you because you are now a threat to me and everyone else in the car.
So another point here. I'm deathly afraid of snakes. Like, can't even look at snakes. Otherwise, I cripple in fear. A coworker of mine at a previous job brought her snake into work one day, and she tried to show it to me. And my immediate reaction was to cock my fist back. And all I said to her was, "If you don't get that snake out of my fucking face, I'm gonna punch you in the head."
Fear is a powerful motivator. I am afraid of holes in skin, and not like gashes, but like the absence of anything. Like, you know how people get tattooed holes, like black holes on their skin, and make it look like you could reach in and grab their the skin claps or whatever? That freaks me out, man. Like, there's an actual phobia of it, and I forget the name of it, but like if there's like a pattern on skin, I'm done. Like, that's my only phobia is that. Like, I can't, and it's not even a phobia. It wrenches my stomach. Like, if you get cut or like a broken bone, okay, I can deal with that because like I'm seeing what I expect: bone, muscle, viscera. Like, all right, we can roll. But it's that absence, man. Like, I know it's just tattooed or like some type of skin condition or whatever, but it's just, ew. My skin's crawling right now just thinking about it. So Marissa ends up going down to Mexico, and after being told about, me and your mom are getting a divorce, and she's taking it pretty hard because she loves her dad. I like that. I like when dads are presented well.
It's always the dads who are the assholes.
Yeah. So I like when the dads are presented as better men than we expect them to be. And Jimmy Cooper's not perfect, but no one on the show is. But definitely it's the men, Sandy specifically, and even Jimmy to an extent, that are morally likable, affable.
Right.
So I appreciate that.
And I think the biggest thing is like, yeah, it's Jimmy's fault that they're here in the first place, and they let him know that it is. But at the same time, you see that he's willing to go to much further lengths for his family than Julie would.
Mm-hmm. And he's also not, like, the thing with that is, like, we look at perfection as the goal, but that's impossible. No one's perfect. You're going to make mistakes, and Jimmy's willing to pay for those mistakes. And that's, again, another admirable quality about Jimmy. So he has to tell Marissa because, Kirsten tells Jimmy, you don't want her coming back with you already moved out. So he tells her while she's on the road, and he's broken up about it. Marissa takes it hard, but, she's got friends, and she decides, I don't want to be at home right now, so let's go to Mexico and finish this road trip. And they have a good time. Like, the spirits are high. They get to Mexico, they're laughing, walking to a bar, which I'm pretty sure the legal drinking age in Mexico is still 18. Or at least 21, I'm not sure, but they're definitely not. They're 16. Ryan is said to be 17, but, you can be 17 as a sophomore when you're from Chino.
Yeah.
So they end up walking up on Luke, and I'm pretty sure even though they don't show it, obviously. I'm pretty sure he was finger blasting her on while they were dancing.
Von Erich, Iron Claw, just right there.
I don't even think it was the Iron Claw. I think he was going with the Umaga Spike.
Oh, the Samoan Spike. He's got a thumb in there.
Yeah, just like thumbing it. So that didn't go too well.
Doing the whole lighter trick, like trying to light like an old school like Zippo.
Yep. So that doesn't go well. She leaves, ends up being in a lot of emotional turmoil, and she ends up taking some of Summer's stepmother's volumes or painkillers to try to numb the pain. But she's been drinking and she hasn't eaten anything, so it causes a very toxic outcome, and she ends up passing out. So then the next episode, which is the rescue, she ends up going to a hospital in Mexico, and they life flight her to Orange County. I don't know if life flight's a general term or if it's a specific term, because I know for us we have life flight, but that might be like a specific program that we have in Northern Ohio. But it's basically being airlifted from one hospital to another. And she's being treated in the Orange County hospital, and her mother decides to institutionalize her because clearly this is Ryan and her father's fault. And Marissa goes, no, this is your fault. I did this because I am tired of the way I feel. And Julie says something to the extent like, you were happy before Ryan came here. And Marissa hit her with one of the best lines of the show. You thought that was happy? And I was like, oh, damn.
Ooh, girl.
And basically, they end up kidnapping her, technically, because they dress her up as a candy striper, and they move her to, I think it was the Cohen residence. And eventually they have a conversation with Julie and Ryan barks at Julie. And it was like the first time you really see like his teeth gnash. But, he ends up telling her, you need to ask her what she wants. And Julie goes, she doesn't know what she wants. And then Marissa walks up behind her. I know what I want. It's not you, bitch. She said, I want to live with Dad. I've had those conversations. I've said those words. So at the end of the episode, Marissa ends up getting moved into Jimmy's one-bedroom apartment that has 2 floors for some reason. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
But it has 2 bedrooms. But Marissa sleeps on the couch for some reason.
Who the fuck knows what's going on, man?
I damn sure don't. Like, I appreciate shows like Bob's Burgers that will literally design the layout of the apartment and always adhere to it. Why can't you be like Bob's Burgers? I'm just saying. Just saying.
Well, that would require having H. John Benjamin.
That's true, and he's hard to get.
Yeah.
So in The Perfect Couple, Marissa and Ryan start to get closer. Caleb starts to bang Julie. That's always great. Then Marissa apparently outs the couple at a charity event, so that's always great. And then Summer, this was the boat party.
It wasn't even a charity event. It was a party for Caleb.
For the Man of the
Year. Man of
right.
the Year
on a
award.
Yacht. On a yacht.
Yeah.
So she's under the impression at the start of the episode that Jimmy and Julie are going to get back together. So when she finds out from Ryan that Caleb is now doinking her mother, for lack of better words, doing the old sawdust into her, she freaks.
Old horizontal tango.
The old dried up river canal. The old cap gun shooting blanks.
Or ride down the river Styx.
The old crooked cane, if you will. She ends up not taking it too well, and in the start of the speech, she ends up outing the relationship, and she does it in kind of a tongue-in-cheek way. She doesn't like make it like a big to-do, but she's like, and we have to thank Caleb, who's like dating my mother now. And like everyone's like, oh, and Jimmy's like, I'm so done with you, bitch. So she ends up having another fight with her mother, but she and Marissa and Ryan get closer. This was also the episode where there was a conversation about Sandy's new relationship with Rachel, and Rachel makes a move, and he's like, nah, I love my wife, and you look just like her, so maybe. So we don't need to worry about that. I believe that's the end of the Will They Won't They arc.
Yes, because it only goes to episode 9.
So this is the start of the what?
The Oliver Sucks arc.
So at the end of the Perfect Couple, I believe. No, it wasn't it was the best Chris McCaw episode. So we got a few more. We got 2 more to get before we get to the Oliver Sucks arc. It's technically part of it, but it's not. It's the build up to the issue. So Marissa is showing self-destructive behavior, and she shows it again in Homecoming when Ryan has to go back to Chino for Thanksgiving to return a stolen car to pay off some debts that his brother has incurred. She ends up disobeying direct orders from the field captain, breaks rank, and tries to rescue Ryan when he's being chased down by a group of thugs who want to kick his ass because reasons.
Yep.
I think that's the IT guy who failed to pay his bill on time. So she snatches them and they drive off, but along the way they meet Teresa. Well, he knows Teresa. She's meeting him for the first time. And she reveals the most important piece of information about Ryan's story. He played Snoopy. Which is a reoccurring gag that does come back.
Do you
Ryan,
remember what play he was Snoopy?
You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
There you are.
And Teresa played Peppermint Patty. It would have been funnier if Alex or Marissa played Peppermint Patty to play into the whole she's possibly a lesbian motif. But they didn't. So Teresa, she has a really great scene in this episode. She's talking to Ryan, and she basically says to Marissa, like, he just left. No note, no phone call. He just left. And it kind of gave you that idea that Ryan didn't just have an empty house that he was leaving. He had people. And it was like this show did a great job making you realize the obvious. And that sounds like an insult, but it's not, because there's so many times, like when you think about One Tree Hill or other shows that we've talked about, there's that obviousness that's not addressed. Like, how the hell are you going to have a 20-minute fight scene in a high school?
Yeah.
Like, there's obvious things that don't get addressed. This is a very obvious one. Ryan had friends. He had family. He had people who cared about him, and he just kind of left. And, you know, I'm not going to, judge Ryan for that, because I don't know how I would do. Like, damn, that's rough. And to be fair, he called a bunch of people asking to stay. Perhaps he called the household, because it wasn't just Teresa that he knew. Teresa got an older brother, and I would imagine he called him, asked for some help, and was refused, because why wouldn't you exhaust all your options?
Yeah, I believe Teresa's older brother's name is Arturo.
Mm-hmm. And he seems like a good guy. He's a thief. But he's always said, he even says to Ryan, I'm glad you got out. Like, unlike so many people, he wasn't jealous. He didn't hate Ryan. He was happy that he wasn't going to deal. So, like, she's got a good family. A good mom. She's nice. Her brother's nice. But
Right. I just don't buy into this whole thing that she says where he didn't call, because the first episode shows him on a payphone trying to call as many people as he can, trying to find a place to stay, and everybody keeps turning him down.
Well, he may not have called her, because remember, while I'm saying that the option does exist that he may have, they also were just broken up. So, like, we've already seen that Ryan doesn't do well with addressing emotional problems in season 1.
But you don't think he would have called Arturo to try and stay there?
Well, maybe he did, but maybe Arturo didn't tell the family. I've received many phone calls I haven't shared with everyone. You know what I mean? Like, maybe she didn't know.
That strikes me as odd.
That I get a phone call, make a decision, and don't need to tell everyone about it?
No,
I
it
do that
strikes
all
me
the
as
time.
odd that it strikes me as odd that Ryan would disappear for weeks and nobody would be like, "Where is he?"
Well, they find out because they knew where he was, but I don't. It's this is the one thing I can say for sure that they don't address the obvious. They don't explain how everyone found out. You can imply it, but there's no direct like, "Oh, we heard it from Trey." Did you? Because where's that line of dialogue, right? Well, it's not. Yeah. It's not that. You could just drive to Chino prison. It's probably right down the street from where they are. But that's not addressed. That's part of the obvious that's not addressed. Is how did everyone find out that he was living the life of luxury. But anyway, the family's a nice family. They're hospitable. They bring Marissa in. They let her hang out while Ryan does his deeds. But Marissa's kind of a psychopath, and things are getting escalated.
Kind of a psychopath.
A little bit of a psychopath. So then we get to the secret, which is, I think, the catalyst episode for the rest of the season. Because it changes the narrative on not just Ryan's character, because you see him more as someone who's understanding and willing to do things for people that he doesn't necessarily like, emulating a lot of Sandy. But we also get the change of Luke. This is the beginning of Luke's change. Luke's father is revealed to be gay, and he's sleeping with his business partner. And Luke and Ryan end up bonding just before this. They go to his dad's dealership, because Luke's dad owns a very fancy car dealership. And they end up sitting in the most beautiful Mustang 2003 could muster. And they're sitting in this car, and I'm just like, I don't even care if I'm in the passenger seat. I would love to be in that car. Probably feels so comfy. And then they see that his dad walk in, so Luke goes to introduce Ryan to his dad, because Luke's not a terrible human being. Shocking.
Nope.
And he sees his father making out with another guy, and that startles everyone. And Luke says, I swear to God, don't tell anyone. And Ryan's like, I won't. Well, apparently, his father ends up seeing him, which isn't apparently. We know that. His father ends up chasing Luke out of the dealership, trying to get his attention, trying to explain to him what was going on. But he can't catch up to his son. It's implied that Luke didn't go home that night because his father went home immediately and told his wife what's going on. And his wife ends up telling everyone. And it ends out outing the father. But Luke doesn't know this. And ends up, the school is a buzz the next day after what happens. Or maybe it's the day after, but it's relatively quick. And it's kind of a situation where Luke believes that Ryan told everyone. He's like, I didn't tell anyone. And then he had told Marissa, because Marissa pestered him about this. And Ryan's like, you can't tell anyone. And Marissa, to her credit, doesn't. So props to Marissa. She's a psychopath, not a sociopath. And he blames Marissa for the story. But again, this is kind of a game of telephone. Like, you only know who knows because you told them. So, of course, you're going to assume Marissa told him. I don't blame him for jumping to that conclusion, because how else are you going to understand that there's more to this than just you three? But they reconcile at the end, so whatever. But Luke ends up running away from home, essentially, and hangs out with the Coens, which gives us the line that Swisher adores. Hey, Coen, come check out this tackle.
Hold on, because I tweeted it at you, so I'll find the tweet here.
One of the things Seth is constantly ragging on people for is playing sports video games. And Luke loves the sports video games.
Yeah. He goes, hey, Coen, come and see the replay on this tackle. I think I broke this dude in half. And Seth just goes, Luke has a gay dad. Luke has a gay dad. He goes, can't wait to see it, buddy.
Luke ends up kind of being taken in for a little while in the episode until his father arrives. And he's like, I want to make sure my son's okay. And like he's very heartfelt, and he's a good dude. Sure, he's infidelic in his nature, but all right, I get it, living a lie and whatnot. But his son overhears him, and instead of rejecting his father, goes, I'll come home with you. And then at the end of the episode, Luke walks up, and everyone's talking about him. And then the Core 4 walk up around him, and he's like, is it going to get easier? And Ryan goes, I'm still the delinquent from Chino. And Marissa's like, I'm still the girl who tried to kill herself in Mexico. And Summer, I don't know what she says. But Seth goes, no.
Yeah, Seth goes, yeah, and I'm just...
No.
Seth Coen.
So that's like when they officially kind of become a thing. Caleb and Julia break up, but that's a minor point. There's the... so during... I thought... Okay, all right. So we did miss a little minor point with the perfect couple. Which led into Homecoming. Seth tries to play both Summer and Anna.
Oh, right,
It
yeah.
does not go well. Summer and Anna both find out during the homecoming, and in the secret, he's trying to make amends, but it's not really working. But at the end of the episode, it does work because plot lines, and in the best Christmaka ever, Seth ends up basically being propositioned by both women, and Summer ends up rolling in a Wonder Woman outfit. And you have to remember, I have not seen this episode all the way through more than once, and I still remember the line from Anna. I can't look like that in a Wonder Woman outfit. She's going to pick Summer. Or he's going to pick Summer. And I don't know why that resonated with me because it just, again, it's a very normal human reaction to be envious of someone else. But during the same situation, Summer's envious of Anna because she's clearly a genius. And that makes Summer feel bad.
Drew and narrated a custom comic book for Seth for Christmas, The Adventures of Seth Cohen and Captain Oates.
Yep. And all Seth got them both. Again, seen this episode only once. All he got them were episodes of the Goonies. Or not episodes, but the movie The Goonies.
He got them the Seth Cohen starter pack, which was like the Goonies and some other movies, and then some CDs.
Mm-hmm. But they're all the same, all identical.
Yeah,
because he didn't want them to feel left out or different.
He didn't want them to feel like he was favoring one over the other.
Mm-hmm. And I think it was at the end of the episode he finally makes his decision on Anna.
Yep.
But
no, they don't get together until the New Year's.
Oh, that's right. So it's the next episode. But at this episode, we also get the big blow up with Marissa and her mother. And it leads to her getting drunk and leaving with Ryan, who's sober, but they get pulled over. And I think it was because of a broken taillight or something like that.
Broken taillight because Marissa had backed up into a car.
Right. So, because they're driving Marissa's car on the way back.
Yeah.
So they get pulled over, and Ryan sees that there's an open bottle of alcohol. And if I remember correctly, the officer notices that, does he not?
No, he asked if they've been drinking, and she's acting a little weird. So he's about to ask her to step out of the car.
But then he gets a call.
Then he gets a call, yeah.
Which is, I think he gets like a shots fired, so it's automatic. You bail and you go. So Ryan then gets out of the car, grabs the liquor bottle, and throws it in the ocean. So, the cop should come back and arrest him for littering. And then
Yeah, the cop definitely would have seen it.
Right? Then he starts slamming the door violently, still within the sight of the cop.
Yeah.
And this is, again, like, that didn't make any sense. Like, because Ryan's not an abusive person, so it didn't make any sense that he would start slamming the door to scare someone. Like, that was a completely out of character moment, and I don't know why they wrote it in. But the line that comes immediately after that is brilliant because Marissa tells Ryan, "Stop slamming the door, you're scaring me." And Ryan goes, "Good, because you're scaring me." And Marissa's like, "Oh, no, I fucked up." And it's like a really great delivery from Ben McKenzie that makes the line so like massively necessary. And at the end of the episode, she realizes she's been done fucking up. So at the end of the episode, I think her father also says, part of the conditions of you living here was that you would see a therapist. So she's at the therapist getting ready to talk about her problems, and that's when she meets Swisher's favorite character of all time.
Fuckface McGee.
Oliver Twist, because he's full of twists and surprises.
Trask.
Oliver Trask. Not to be confused with Boulevard Trask, the great X-Men villain. So that brings us to the countdown. It's the final countdown. So Haley ends up having a party at the Cohen house because the Cohens are gone at a, swear to God, love this episode, key party.
Swinger party.
It's not a swinger party, it's a key party. Because a swinger party, don't ask me how I know this, is where things are a lot more loose. You can come and go as you please, if you will. Multiple people, same room. A key party is where you randomly get someone else's spouse based off of the keys. And when they find out what's that? Oh yeah, this time it's a watch. So technically it's a watch party. Even though I would be totally fucked because I don't own a watch. I mean, I do. I don't wear them though. So Kirsten's sister also says you guys aren't cool. You guys don't do anything wild. And now Kirsten, facing the dreaded 40, is like, we're still fun. We're still hip. And then they decide to stay to prove a point to someone who's not even there. which is also a very real thing people do. It's dumb, but it makes sense. And
Yeah.
they end up putting all their watches in, and everyone pulls out their watches, and they go off, and it's whatever. And then finally, like the last two leave, and then Kirsten looks at Sandy, who's still there, and she's like, "You didn't put your watch in." And Sandy coyly, with a goofball sly smile, reveals the watch, and they start laughing.
No, so his watch isn't in the bowl, and
Right.
he had put it in earlier, but he took it out. She goes, "Your watch better be in your pocket."
That's
And he
right.
pulls his watch out of his pocket.
He still has that dumb smile on his face,
Yeah.
though. Flip side, Ryan is. I think What was the dumb reason why he didn't go to the party?
They were going to go, but they both decided to just stay.
Because they wanted to. They didn't want to. Was this the they didn't want to forget their friends, kind of thing? They were going to spend time with their friends. Was that the dumb excuse?
I don't know why those two idiots decided to stay home on New Year's Eve. I can't remember. All I know is that they didn't want to go, so Ryan was staying home, and Haley convinces him to leave because she's like, "Oh, you're just gonna let your girlfriend kiss some dude on New Year's that's not you?" And as they're getting ready to leave, I forget why Seth is staying. Seth is staying, I think, because he doesn't want to face Summer or Anna. He doesn't want to pick.
Summer and Anna have also started to become best friends for some odd reason, and they started to make Golden Girl references in this episode.
They're calling each other Rose and Blanche.
Right. So there's also a scene in this episode where Haley, fucking man-face Haley locks them in a room for some reason. Because bottle episode.
Yeah. So basically, Haley invited a bunch of people over to throw this huge rager of a New Year's party, and Ryan and as Seth and Ryan are getting ready to leave, all the people start to pour in.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, "We're gonna shut this down. We're gonna call the cops." And so she locks them in the pool house, so that they can't. But then I forget exactly why she lets them out. It's all fucking stupid.
I think things got out of hand and she needed help. I think.
Anyways, it's all garbage.
So
this episode sucks.
So there's two moments that really did stand out as good, though, because I'm not going to disagree. Haley was not a great centric character. Ryan ends up deciding to find Marissa, who's gone to a hotel party, essentially. I think it's more of a what do they call the top hotels on the
Penthouse.
She's at a penthouse party, not that penthouse. Although, wow. So Ryan goes to find her, and she was invited by Oliver, who's just a kid she knew from therapy, and he's talking about his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember her name.
Natalie,
that's right. Natalie. He's kind of like a dark-haired Chris Keller. Like if Chris Keller
no, he's got 3 times less charisma than Chris Keller.
Well, what I mean is, if Chris Keller was to cut his hair and dye it black, they would look alike. Very similar features. But I, honest to God, I've seen Oliver before, and I can't remember where.
I don't care.
So Ryan shows up at the last minute after Oliver kind of says, like, "Hey, Natalie's not here. I'll kiss you at midnight." And then Ryan shows up and he's like, "Nah, dog." And
He's like, "Nah, dog, that's my girlfriend.
Right?
Get fucked, homie."
So they make out, and Oliver's like, "This is hot." At the same time, Seth has finally cleared out the party and is throwing away all the trash. When Anna, who was with Summer and Marissa at the party, bails on the party and finds Seth, and that's when the two get together.
Yep.
And Summer ends up being very displeased with the party because she starts hanging out with Mr. McCarty. And she finds nothing about him attractive. He's attractive, but he's whatever. She wants Cohen, and it makes her sick that she wants him, which is a great running gag.
Yeah, the reason she wants Cohen so badly is because he remembers the small details about her, and he actually cares about her, and she realizes this. Whereas all the other guys she's been with have just been like superficial assholes and idiots.
Mm-hmm. It's a great character growth for Summer.
Yep.
So then we go to the third wheel. This is the concert episode, if I remember correctly, with Rooney. Rooney!
Oh, Rooney.
Rooney, 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 Rooney. Do, 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 do. So Oliver gets the mall tickets to Rooney. Oliver then has a freak out and tries to score coke. Oliver claims it's because Natalie broke up with him again. Oliver's lying.
Oliver's a piece of shit.
At the same time, Summer finds out about Anna and Cohen, and she seems okay with it, but you know she's not. And that was a big to-do.
Yeah.
Because it starts her on this I need Cohen path, which she's regretting, I'm sure, years later. So Oliver gets arrested. They bail him out. We go on to the episode The Lynx, where Oliver, in a gesture of friendship towards Ryan, who doesn't really like Oliver, invites everyone, including Luke, who no one likes, apparently,
Yeah.
to this really great Palm Springs country club resort. And Luke in the prior episode shows that he can play guitar and sing. And he's actually an accomplished musician in real life, the actor who plays him. But he plays the dumbest song ever. And it's hilarious because all of Rooney just looks at him like he's a giant idiot. I love it. The Lynx start to showcase Oliver's true side. He nearly kills Ryan and Luke by driving them off the Lynx. And Ryan says, you know, that was no... he says something to him, and Luke responds with, that was no accident. And Luke would know because he's tried to commit vehicular manslaughter before, apparently. So, you know, that was before the gay dad.
I mean, Luke was with Marissa from 5th grade up until their breakup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's more than well aware of what it looks like when someone is gunning after his girlfriend.
Because he's probably done that to other dudes' girlfriends.
That too.
Yep.
You know, so it's no surprise to me that he immediately sniffed out the fact that this dude was trouble.
Mm-hmm. And this would be something that would be reoccurring for the next 3 episodes. Is Luke is on top of this with Ryan. No one else. The only person who believes Ryan in this entire fucking series during the Oliver escapades is Luke. And there's like several. There's the instance in the hallway where Luke's like, I have some friends that went to his high school. There's the conversation he tried to have with Marissa. There's the conversation Luke has with Seth. Luke is championing the same ideas, and no one is giving him the time of day. It's because he has a gay dad. This gay
always the gay dad.
It's always the gay dad. So
yeah, I don't trust this Oliver guy. Shut up, Luke. You got a gay dad.
Hey guys, I saw Oliver kill someone last night. Shut up, Luke. No one cares about your gay dad problems.
Why don't you go back to your gay dad, gay son? That doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, your dad's gay. Yeah, but I'm not. Doesn't matter, gay son.
Doesn't even make sense, gay dad.
Yeah, they just keep calling him gay dad. So whatever, gay dad. It's like, you know, like I'm not a dad and I'm not gay. Yeah, whatever. Your dad's gay though, so gay dad. That's your nickname now. It's like that. How?
Kirsten walks in. Hey, Luke, how's your gay dad? And Luke just drops his head in shame.
Luke just freaks out, punches a locker.
Kirsten walks away. So things pick up even more with the rivals. Now, we're still playing this hot and cold. Maybe Ryan's just a bit jealous. And it gets even to the point where Dr. Kim's like, yo, all I'm hearing is some angry dude rolled into town and he got anger problems. Gee, remind you of anything? And Ryan's like,
yeah. Well, you can't forget the fact that he Ryan tries to question him during the links. He storms off and heads back to Newport.
Right, yeah. And he ODs. Almost ODs.
Yeah. He pretends that he ODs. He doesn't actually even do anything. He pours a bunch of pills out of bottles and puts them in a clock.
He pours 3 pill bottles out.
Yeah.
Hides the contents and then tried to infer to Marissa that he took all 3 bottles of pills and he's okay?
Yeah, that he got it all out of his system by throwing up.
That's not how that works.
Bud. Yeah.
Because even if you do it within the span of like 5 minutes after taking, some of it's still going to seep into your system. And Ryan rightly goes, well, even if that's the case, we should still get you checked out. And then
Because
Oliver
they're
goes,
gonna put me on suicide watch.
yeah. But Oliver should have said, nah, because if they pump my stomach, they're going to realize nothing's there.
Yeah.
And that would have been a problem. So Marissa, for whatever reason, is infatuated with this kid. Like, that is clear. But it's never explored why. She just says, we're friends.
No, she says why.
Oh, is it because they're both
She
broken
says-
human beings that have mental issues?
So it literally her reason for saying why she likes Oliver so much is because he's one of the only men in my life that actually tells me what's on his mind.
That's right, because that was during the links, I think.
Yeah, because she says that Ryan and her dad, and nobody would ever talk to her, tell her what was going on, but Oliver is different. It's a bunch of horse shit.
Right. So the end of the Rivals comes when Ryan gets told, I think Luke tells him prior to this, that there is no Natalie, so he breaks in. I may be getting my order wrong, but that's not a big deal. He breaks into the records room because apparently Oliver is transferred over to Harbor. So they find out where Oliver went to school, looked up his transfer record, and apparently Oliver has a attempted suicide on his record from 2 years prior, where he was in love with a girl who did not love him,
in the bathroom.
who did not love him back,
Yeah.
and he was found in the bathroom with his wrist slit.
Yep.
So I mean, he's not exactly violent to others, but he is a bit of a pain in the ass.
It's after this is when Luke goes to Harbor and finds out that Natalie Bishop is not real.
He doesn't go to Harbor because they're from Harbor, but I know.
Or
what
no,
you mean.
it's not Harbor. It's like Pacific or something like that.
I think it's Pacifica.
Yeah, it's something like that. He goes over there and he knows a couple people on the street. He's like, said nobody really knows anything about this kid and that there's nobody by the name of Natalie Bishop who goes to that school.
And this starts to come out in The Truth. Ryan is now suspended from school because at the end of at the end of the Rivals, Oliver reveals his plans. I'm going to get you expelled. You're not going to be here, and then I'm going to have Marissa to myself. And Ryan, granted, it's in his DNA. His middle name is Punchy. Starts punching on Oliver, and he gets suspended for that. Go figure. You can't brutally
beat the shit out of him, dude.
Now listen, I've seen someone get the shit beat out of them in high school, and they only got a 3-day suspension. So I totally believe that Ryan only got suspended. Because at the time, we're linear high school students at the same time. So like, this is exactly what would have happened in 03. So he gets suspended, and he's confined to his pool house by Sandy and Kirsten. And Sandy starts to doubt the commitment to Ryan, and Kirsten's like, "You're dumb. Shut up." And Sandy goes, "You're right. I'm sorry." So that quickly gets resolved. But no one's believing Ryan when he's talking about these problems. Luke finds out more about this and starts to really doubt the situation at hand, especially once Ryan gets suspended. Marissa doesn't want to believe any of it. Seth is concerned about his brother, so when Luke shows up to talk to Marissa, Seth tries to intervene, but at the same time, Seth is having issues with Summer and Anna, because Summer's hanging out all the time now as a third wheel, and she's trying to destroy the relationship by being annoying, which is, I mean, props for psychological warfare. That's a new one. And Seth is kind of still, he's very much still into Summer, but she's Anna. So he's having to deal with that all at the same time. He's trying to keep his brother from finding Oliver and beating his ass. And Oliver even ends up intercepting a phone call, deleting the voicemail, and surprising Ryan in the library of the school. And he tells Ryan she's not coming. She wants nothing to do with it. And if you don't stop, she's going to file a restraining order.
Yep.
So if I remember correctly, the truth ends with Seth lying for Ryan, but Ryan being at the house, essentially. Like, they don't find out that he left, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Seth basically says that he didn't leave the...
Right. So, then we, are we... No, the truth actually ends. That's right. The truth ends the Oliver saga.
Yeah.
That's right, because Oliver is then revealed to be a bit on the psychotic side.
A bit.
A bit, just a bit. So Sandy doesn't believe Ryan. Marissa not wanting to deal with her mother because Ryan tries to get Marissa's mother to run interference as well. Basically, it all blows up and Marissa runs away because that's what Marissa does. And she goes to Oliver's apartment for the night, hotel room, whatever. And the next day, he's like, "Why don't we go to France or Italy or the moon?" And she's like, "I have school." And he's like, "That's fine. It's muggy this time of year in France, or it's cold or whatever." So like, he's playing it off like he's not totally upset, but he's totally upset. Luke's dropping off some stuff. Luke's telling Marissa Natalie Bishop doesn't exist. Ryan's telling the truth, and she's like, "No, not you too, Luke." And I don't remember what the catalyst was. I think it was the phone call with Luke, but I can't be sure.
No, so she goes downstairs to see if Luke dropped off her bag yet.
Came back up, and he's like, "Why did you leave? They'll bring it up to you."
Yeah. So when she goes downstairs, she finds out that the name of the
Bellhop. Clerk.
clerk,
Hotel lady.
the front desk attendant.
There it is.
Her name is Natalie, and she goes, "Are
No.
you Natalie?"
Go on.
What?
You're explaining. You're explaining.
Yeah.
You're explaining.
She goes, "Are you Natalie?" And she goes, "Yeah." Natalie Bishop, and she goes, "Yeah, why?" And she's like, "Oh, you
Have you known Oliver for long?
Yeah, have you known Oliver for a long time?" And she goes, "Oh, I've known him since he was a kid." So she goes back upstairs, and when she gets there, and she goes, I found something funny. The clerk downstairs, her name is Natalie Bishop. She goes, "There is no Natalie Bishop who is your girlfriend, was there?" And that's when he freaks out and pulls the gun on her.
He doesn't pull it on her. Pulls it on himself.
Yeah, pulls it on himself.
She calls Ryan to. Well, go on.
He goes into the bathroom. She starts to call Ryan, and that's when he comes back and she says, "Why would you want to hurt me? If I'm the one that you love, blah blah blah." And he just says, "Oh, I don't want to hurt you. I'm gonna hurt myself. This gun isn't for you. This is for me."
Mm-hmm.
Ryan and Sandy get there, and they
talk him down.
Go up. Yeah, they go up, and they're not gonna let it. He's like, "Everything's fine," and then she screams, and they go in with security. And basically, Ryan talks him off the ledge and tells him that he can get a second chance, and then he puts the gun down and he gets taken away.
He was thrown into season 3 of Heroes, or season 2, the time travel episodes. So, because he never comes back. But there's a great scene in that episode with Sandy and Ryan where she calls Ryan and he goes to her and he tries to go to her, but he's stopped by Sandy. And he's like basically begging him to believe him. And Sandy goes, "Give me the keys."
And he just keeps going, "Give me the keys. Give me the keys. Give me the keys."
And Ryan gives him the keys and goes, "I'll drive." And you could just tell Ryan, like, "Why couldn't you just tell me you would drive? Like, why you gotta be so goddamn melodramatic?"
Yeah.
But it was a showing of Sandy as a character accepting Ryan and believing Ryan, which was a big point of emphasis throughout the entire 6-episode arc. So that was great. But let's be honest, the next episode of the Heartbreak starts, I believe, a different arc. Oh, what's the next arc that we're on?
We've called this the Fallout and Reclamation arc.
Reclamation. Reclaiming of the Reclamation. Marissa and Ryan are done. Ryan cannot get past the fact that Marissa did not believe him. A very good reason to break up with somebody.
Yep.
This does not sit well with Marissa, and Marissa then spends the next 6 episodes trying to fuck him. Which is always a bad decision. Because there's like, you know how and they even do it in this series. You know how they go the whole, "Do you not want to be my girlfriend?" No, I mean, yes. I mean, and she does that. She goes, "Do you not want to have sex with me?" And Ryan just goes, "No."
And then he goes, "Well, yes, but..."
But like Ryan was emphatically like, "No, there is no confusion. This ain't happening." And I appreciated that. Ryan rejected the sex.
Well, the biggest problem with this arc is that Ryan has shit communication skills.
Yes, which is actually something that's laughed about in season 2.
Combined with the fact that Marissa is known to run out of a situation before someone gets a chance to explain. That's the biggest problem with them. Yeah, that her biggest problem, their biggest problem as a couple, is that he takes too long to explain, so she won't sit around and listen.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good
So
summation.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
By the time he can form the thoughts in his head of what he wants to say to her and actually manages to get it out, she's already opened the door and walked out of the room.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
So,
So this leads to the return of Teresa at a function. She's working as a caterer.
yep.
So they start getting and discussing and blah blah blah. Jimmy also finds out that he's got a secret admirer who is Lindsay. Not Lindsay. Why do I keep doing that? Haley. Fucking Wintry Hill. Fucking with me.
Because every character on the show is named after, is also a character on One Tree Hill.
You're not wrong. They used basic white
Haley,
dude
Lindsay,
names.
Alex, Taylor.
Who was Alex on One Tree Hill?
What? Your favorite character?
I had a lot.
Alex
Oh,
Dupre.
that's right. Another girl
Come
with a dude's
on,
name.
man.
Another girl with a dude's name. And ironically enough, I love both Alexes.
Yeah, because they're broken.
Just wait till I get to season 3. The most broken of them show up. Taylor
Can't believe you
Townsend.
forgot Alex from One Tree Hill.
I have too many white people on my mind. Calm
You should
down.
be ashamed of yourself. She was your favorite broken toy.
She's not a toy, but yeah, she's my favorite broken being.
She was like a jack in a box that wouldn't pop out, and you just sit there and keep turning the crank.
No, she would pop out. She would just slap you when she does. And then you keep cranking the crank again, hoping for a different reaction, but you don't get it. Also, she was needy, and I just... Mwah. So, we get the developing relationship of Teresa and Marissa, and not Marissa, Ryan. And one of the things that was mentioned before with Ryan and Teresa was they never really dated. They just fucked a lot, which is something that Ryan and Teresa decided to revisit. Although I don't think it's this episode that they do it. They also, it says here, the heartbreak is also the episode where Seth and Summer come to terms with their relationships for each other, with their for their feelings for each other. I guess that makes sense because up until this point, they were still, Seth was still dating Anna. I guess. But Anna had left, I guess. Like, when did Anna leave? 'Cause I thought Anna left for the holidays, but no, that's
I
not.
don't remember.
Okay, I think she left at one point. I mean, I know she left at one point because she came back for the telenovela. But
Well,
anyway,
she just disappears for a while because she goes back to Pittsburgh to visit family.
right? I'm trying to
and
remember
then
when that episode was, though.
I don't know, man.
Well, regardless. So Seth and Summer start to get together. Anna accepts this. Actually, I think she broke up with Seth during the events of The Truth, I think.
Yes, because she could see the tension between Summer and Seth, and she didn't want to get in the middle.
Right.
She didn't want to be the reason. She said it was for other things, but basically she surmised it by saying, "Look, since we've gotten together, all you've talked about was Summer." So.
And actually, in season 2, a character will say the exact same things that Anna said, like, you can't fight fate. Which was, I think, what Anna said, like, you can't fight fate. You clearly are in love with Summer. And she bowed out, which is, again, just...
She's the only level-headed character that's not an adult on this fucking show.
Mm-hmm. Well, season 2 will introduce another one, but still. So, Ryan and Teresa start to get back together. They start to canoodle. Seth and Summer are dating but keeping their relationship private, which is turning Seth to Anna for advice, which is breaking Anna's heart. Poor fucking Anna.
Eddie shows up.
Eddie shows up and causes a fight in the student union room, I guess is what you would call it.
Well, he shows up at the Cohen household first.
And it's played by the worst actor in the world.
I don't.
Eric, what's his name? Not Roberts. It's Eric something.
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to the actor.
I'm gonna Google this real fast. I hope I don't break anything.
But he shows up and he says, Uh, basically, have you seen her? I just want to talk to her. I proposed to her. Blah blah blah.
Eric Balfour.
Okay.
He was in that show with Edge. That Stephen King show.
You were presuming that I've watched a show with Edge in it.
Well, that's your problem. So, continue.
He tells him basically, I just want to talk to her. If you see her, just send her my way. I don't know if he tells him right away that he proposed. I think he does. Um,
Yeah,
and
because
so
Ryan confronts Teresa about not telling him that she's engaged.
yeah,
And that's where she revealed, well, he proposed, but I didn't say anything.
yeah, and she ran away. But then they kind of, things still are getting a little hotter between those two. Um, and then I think that's when Eddie comes back a little later and sees him in her hotel, and they're, you know, canoodling or whatever. And then there's the party where he shows up.
The
And
party, so the telenovela ends with them hooking up. The Goodbye Girl is where Eric shows up, I think.
Eddie.
He shows up. Eddie shows up in telenovela, but he doesn't escalate things until the Goodbye Girl,
Okay.
because Anna announces she's moving back to Pittsburgh to Seth, and the party that they're at, I believe, is the engagement party.
Yes.
No, it's not the
It's
engagement
like
party.
it's one of the part.
It's a
they
party.
Have
There's a lot, and that's
a million fucking parties.
That's another recurring joke. There's always a party, but they're at the Cohen house for a party. So he shows up. They get into a fight. Teresa leaves because she can't bring all this on Ryan. I think.
Ryan.
So then Anna leaves in this episode as well. It's heartbreaking. So it's kind of like a duality. Again, I mentioned the show has a lot of duality. Anna leaves and Teresa leaves, which is why the episode's called The Goodbye Girl. And this is the episode that also has that breaking of the heart moment between Seth and Anna. It's just,
I hate it.
Oh my god, it made me cry. I had literal tears in my eyes. So then in the LA, we find out that Summer and Marissa have met members of
The Valley.
The Valley, which is a great fucking take on The Hills, which was airing side by side at the time with all these other shows. It was like The Hills, The Valley, The OC.
Yeah.
The
So
Valley's-
it was a poke at themselves and the Valley.
Right.
Basically, is what
the
Josh
Hills, you
Corp
mean?
said. No, yeah,
There's
the
a poke
Hills
between the OC and
the
the
OC.
Hills. Yeah.
They were making fun of their own show and their rival show.
Yeah, they're sub-genre shows. But they had
Yeah.
Colin Hanks there playing the Seth character, which was great. So
Yeah.
he invites them to LA for a birthday party, and they start making fun of all these teen actors are in their 20s, which is I think something also mentioned in One Tree Hill. And while they're at this party, they see Haley stripping,
Yep.
and it's implied she's a co-core. So we go from bratty daddy's girl to co-core in 5 episodes. Oh, la-di-da. Jimmy also starts. This is also the start of the restaurateur aspect of the show, if I remember correctly. And
Yeah, where Sandy and Jimmy are gonna go into business together, buying a restaurant called the Lighthouse.
And during the Goodbye Girl, I believe is when Teresa and Ryan did the dirty. And in the L.A., they go back to the hotel because Ryan forgot something. I think it was like a watcher or an armband. And they see Luke leaving a hotel room with Julie Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
So things are escalating.
Yeah.
But in the L.A., Jimmy Cooper rolls up. And this is like the best thing ever. So they're trying to get Haley to leave with them. And Marissa gets them back in. She's all like ninja. But the Goon Squad rolls up as they're throwing them out. And he's like, if you ever get back in here, I swear to God. And then you just hear Jimmy go, you're going to do what? And he walks up, beat up a bunch of kids? A girl? What kind of tough guy are you? I'm
Yeah.
like, this is when Jimmy Cooper hits peak.
Oh yeah, like towards the end of season 1, Jimmy Cooper makes the full turnaround. He's like, he's kind of a heel because he's a bad investment banker. He stole money. He's a bad guy, and now he's defending women and children. He's about to get into a fight with a big ass bouncer and a strip club owner.
He's
He's
Arn
like, "What are you gonna
Anderson.
hit a?" He is Arn Anderson.
We're not
You're
nice guys.
100%.
We don't wear white hats.
You're 100% right. He's Arn Anderson. He's not pretending like he's a holier than thou white knight, but he's definitely a good guy.
He has good intentions, and that's admirable.
Yeah.
And he ends up basically saying, "Hey, Kokor, I like broken girls. I relate so hard with Jimmy Cooper."
He walks up and he goes, "Hello, my name is Chad Porto."
I like broken people because I too am broken. Date me? And to his credit, Haley goes, "All right," and they start doing all of the fucking. Like no one else on the show has any sex anymore.
You walk up to a girl. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say no one else on the show has any more sex for the rest of the season because Haley and Jimmy are doing all the fucking.
Yeah.
So I walk up to a girl and what?
You walk up to a girl, you're like, "I'm a regular broken window," and you look at this girl and you're a piece of broken stained glass. Let's see if we can make this work. And then it's just jamming two jagged edges at each other.
That's not how you have sex.
No, but that's how you try to make most of your relationships work. And the jagged edges probably isn't too far off from the truth with some of your ex-girlfriends.
So, are you implying that because I'm the regular broken window, that I'm a more normalized broken individual, and they're a specialized, far more broken version of a window?
No, I'm implying that you're a normal-ass regular dude, and most of these girls that you go after hot as shit.
All right, so listen. I'm a 6 at best. With my hair part of the right, I'm a 6. I know that. I land so many hot chicks. I don't know how I do it. I don't.
Look, I paid you a compliment.
I know. And I'm saying, like...
You don't have to explain.
I don't know how to do it. Like, if you saw my Rolodex of exes, you're like, you paid for them, right? By the hour? And I'm like, no.
Yes, but then they are it's also the same. Like, they are a jagged, broken piece of stained glass, and I would not be surprised if you told me one of your exes tried to stab you with a piece of glass.
So fun story. I'm gonna tell you off the air. I'm gonna tell you off the air for legal reasons.
I'm right all the time.
So I skipped the episode The Nana because it's basically just a revisiting of One Tree Hill's
Jewish
favorite.
guilt trip.
Yep. So fuck that. There's nothing here besides Jimmy and Haley getting outed for their romance, whatever. So then the proposal happens, and this is where Caleb proposes to Julie. So that's always
what episode number are we on?
24. I believe we started a new arc.
Okay. Yeah, we're out of the Fallout and Reclamation arc. We are now on to the final arc of the season, the blackmail/departure arc.
Right. So at this point, Marissa and Ryan are either about to get together or have gotten back together.
Right.
But the reveal of Luke's infidelity has come to light. I shouldn't say infidelity because he wasn't cheating, but... So people are mad at Luke, and Luke's trying to apologize because they should have called this episode The Goodbye Boy. Because Luke is leaving, and he wants to make amends with everyone. He's realized that he's been fucking... He basically is... He's sitting there going... So Ryan, I've been watching this show. I don't know if you ever heard it, called One Tree Hill. And the character on there had a really good idea. Leave to solve your problems. I'm going to do that. So he
One
leaves.
Tree Hill would have been a better show if they had stayed in Charlotte.
Right? We keep saying that, man. We said it in season 1 and season 2. Let's see what would have happened if they had kept the entire second season in Charlotte. We wouldn't have had fucking terrible fucking neighbor dude. Can't remember his name. Ugh, I'm so glad. Don't tell me what it is. Felix. God damn it. I can't even make myself happy.
The worst part of that show.
Right? And there's a lot of worse parts of that show, tell you what. So Luke ends up crashing his car and nearly dying, but so Marissa forgives him, and that's basically the bulk of this episode. That's
pretty much it.
Well, that and Caleb proposes to Julie, and Jimmy finds out that they have been denied a liquor license. So in the shower, we then get a proposal from Caleb to Jimmy and Sandy to buy the property at a very cool $2.5 million apiece.
Yep.
Because they're being lowballed. by about 150% because the property is apparently worth $20 million. Actually, I think it's worth like $50 million.
It's
So
something crazy.
it's something crazy. So Kirsten and Marissa throw a bridal shower for Julie, which is great because Marissa doesn't want to be there. But she's basically told, if you don't show up, I'm not going to pay your father the money that he's legally entitled to. So you must live with me, even though she literally could have just gotten the money, signed the paycheck over to her dad, and then went, nah, I'm going to just move back in with my dad. Deuces.
Yeah, like it's such bullshit because she could have literally been like, okay, I'll do it. He writes the check out to Jimmy.
Mhm.
Jimmy cashes the check, or deposits it, and then she could just be like, all right, cool, you gave him the money, see ya.
You're right.
Like, I'm not gonna live with you. And what was Caleb gonna do at that point? Nothing, because that motherfucker, turns out, he's going down.
Well, actually, it's best not to cross Caleb in a deal. But you'll find that out in season 2. You'll find that out in season 2. So in the shower, we also end up getting Teresa returning. She's been being abused by her boyfriend. Ryan is talked out of going to kill him. And Teresa is briefly moved into the pool house. And again, this is something I'll give Marissa. Marissa understands what's going on, and she doesn't go out of her way to be a problem, but you can tell it does bother her, which, fair enough. There's that line from One Tree Hill, is it bad to say that I wish it was me because I wanted him to save me instead? When Brooke tells that, I think it was to Lucas, because he keeps saving Peyton and she wants to be saved. So Marissa's clearly upset that Ryan is, again, saving someone who isn't her, which might explain her ne'er-do-well and constantly destructive behavior. She wants to be
Well,
saved.
I think there's another theme here that there was in One Tree Hill, and that is, if these people would just communicated with each other,
if you only talk.
There would be less problems. Well, it's just that's the problem. Nobody talks. Everybody just acts. And Ryan's another, that's a big problem with Ryan. He doesn't talk. He just acts.
I believe this was also the episode with the stripper, or is that the next episode? I think that was the next episode.
The male strippers?
Yes, because there's the conversation with Haley and Marissa that made me lose my shit. They were talking about sex, and they're all like, it's like Teresa. No, I think it was like Summer. Then it was Marissa and then Haley. They're all talking about sex with their boyfriends. And they get to Haley, and she's like, yeah, sex is great. And they both just look at her, and she's like, oh, am I oversharing? Because she's fucking Jimmy.
I zoned out hard on that episode because it was getting real early in the morning.
Oh, this was a good episode. You should rewatch it. The strip is one of my favorites. But so
I saw most of the strip, because that's the Vegas episode, right?
Yes. It's also the episode where we find out that Teresa's pregnant.
The beginning half, not even the beginning half, the beginning third of that episode I missed.
Fair. So we then move on to the strip, where we find out Teresa's pregnant. The crew knows that she's pregnant, so they try to raise money for her. Marissa finds out because she's back in, I was about to call it One Tree Hill. They're back in the OC, where she reveals where Marissa is revealed to by Teresa that the baby might be Ryan's. And to Marissa's credit, she does not freak out that they had sex. Like she's a little upset about it, but like other shows would have been cataclysmic. And
this is true.
And she's like, all right, I know we were single, I get it. And she really can't. She doesn't have a leg to stand on. She literally lost her virginity to spite Ryan. It's not like Marissa's got a leg to stand on. And at least Ryan was backsliding with someone he cares about, and it wasn't to hurt Marissa. So again, things. They also meet a chick who I remember being in an episode of How I Met Your Mother, and she was also in something else, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Actually, was she in One Tree Hill?
Who?
The hooker.
The main hooker?
Yes.
I don't know.
I remember she was. You've seen How I Met Your Mother, right?
Yeah, of course.
Do you remember the catalyst to why Barney became Barney?
Yes.
The girl he was in love with is this hooker,
Oh.
but she was in another show. I'm looking it up real fast. Because she was in like a bulk of episodes. I just can't remember where. The Rivals, The Truth, The Nana, The LA, The Shower, The Strip. Here we go. There's also apparently a flashback scene, but I don't remember seeing it in this episode.
I don't know.
I believe the stripper's name was Kristen. It was Jen, played by
Jen,
Kristen Renton.
Renton.
Oh, she was Ima in Sons of Anarchy. That's where she was. She was
okay.
She was the slut who tried to sleep with Jax after he got together with what's her face. Don't fuck with her man. So yeah. Anyway, so the strip ends with them winning money, then losing it because reasons, and they go back to home, and we set up the ties that bind. Quote, Julie and Caleb are officially getting married, and Marissa moves in with them, much to her father's chagrin. And they start fighting, and it's hilarious. And it's this giant fucking house. It's fucking huge. It makes no
fucking palace.
It makes no sense to be that big. Like,
yeah.
I don't think the Coens need a house that big, but yet they do.
Yeah, I mean, it's already been revealed up to this point that Caleb is in financial trouble.
Right.
And the Newport Group is going bankrupt.
Well, he's not technically in financial trouble. Technically. He is in trouble with financials because he's been doing things illegally. He's still well off financially. But the Newport Group is looking down the barrel of bankruptcy. And the Federal Trade Commission, I believe, the FTC, same guys that got Jimmy, are after him. The feds. But again, I hate to break it to you, that storyline really doesn't go anywhere. That storyline goes to serve the love child of Caleb in season 2, which you should have already gotten to because it's like episode 4.
I don't think I've started episode 4 yet.
Okay, so
I finished episode 3 and then
you'll find out because Sandy's already investigating what this mysterious amount of money is going to that Caleb will not tell him. Ryan and Teresa face a difficult decision regarding her pregnancy. The start of the episode basically is Teresa announcing that I want to have an abortion. Ryan doesn't say much of anything, but he just says, okay, I support that. I support you, specifically. And he's not really happy about it, but he's not really unhappy. He doesn't know how to feel. And Seth's like, oh, this is great news. Is it great news? I don't know. Marissa thinks it's great news because it means that Ryan will stay and won't have a bastard child that she'll have to deal with. But she doesn't say it. It's with the eyes. But it's then revealed because Kirsten has a conversation with Teresa where she goes, you don't need to have an abortion. And it's revealed that Kirsten had an abortion. And that abortion was Seth.
Oof.
But it's implied that it's implied that before she met Sandy, she had a tit for tat and she ended up having an abortion. And she's like, I wish somebody had talked to me beforehand. Not to change my mind, but just so I know that they were there. And Teresa reveals to Ryan that she does want this kid. And she said that she's not going to Atlanta. She's going to go back home. And she doesn't pressure Ryan to go with her. But she says, if you really want to help me, come back with me. Because Ryan says, I want you to stay so I can help you. So she leaves and she says, whatever decision you make, I understand. So there's no pressure. But Ryan's not a shitbag human being. And he even tells Sandy, I don't want this kid to have the life that I had. So I'm going to go back. So Ryan's motivated by his past to do right by Teresa. So he tells everyone he's leaving. And with the exception of Seth, who acts like a giant baby, everyone understands. Like, they're not happy about it. Marissa, is hugging him and crying in their last dance. He asks Kirsten, is there anything I can do before I leave? And she's like, don't go. But it's the right move. He ends up leaving to end the first season, looking at Marissa the same, because like in the first episode he leaves to go back to Chino, and he looks at Marissa as the sun setting, and the end of the season begins the way it ended, or ends the way it began, with him passing Marissa as she's waiting to be picked up by Caleb's limo to go live with him. So it ends like it began, which is a very familiar sequence for this series. It will begin as it ends, or ends as it begins. So that's the crux of season 1. 3 hours later.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, we won't have to do like such in-depth character breakdowns,
Right. We can just go straight to the fucking episodes.
and we have less episodes next week.
Yeah, this is a bulky episode.
Well, the setup episodes have to be bulky.
Yep. We have to let everyone know what's going on. So
Yeah.
we can do your favorite moments if you have any that we haven't addressed yet.
Fuck. 3 hours later, I don't know if they're still in my brain.
For me, the Kirsten, I don't want you to go in the final episode. Anything involving Summer in scantily clad clothes, peak. Jimmy Cooper's late night strip club throwdown, great.
Jimmy Cooper's punch to Caleb in
Yes.
Vegas.
Because they find out that Caleb was selling all the land that was at a premium to a guy, and the guy's like, "Nah, we're not gonna do this anymore."
Not even why he hit him. He hit him because he found out that he
Well,
was
no, I wasn't done.
bribing.
But you're right. During the meal, Jimmy walks in and finds out because Ryan had told him about the bribe. That Caleb was bribing Marissa to move in with him, or else he wouldn't get the money. And Jimmy was all of, "I don't need the money. Fuck you." Punches him. Like a good dad. Jimmy was a great dad on the show.
Jimmy Cooper.
Right? He's a great dad on the show. Like, he's not a great husband, and he's not a great businessman, but he's at least a good dad.
I know there was like several moments. I can't really, like, not just Jimmy, but like there's several moments in this show where like I was visibly like, fuck yeah, hell yeah, this is good shit. I'm glad, like that made me happy. But like most of it was like me struggling to get through this. I think I don't know, maybe it was the fact that it was like combined with the 90 plus second ads, and there was like 6 or 7 groups of ads on my fucking Hulu for whatever reason. Never had this many when I was watching One Tree Hill. Combined with the 45-minute episodes, and then I just felt like sometimes they were dragging. I was just like, fuck, man, this show's a chore to get through sometimes.
Well, I don't deal with Hulu and ads, so I can't help you. I mean, I can if you want, but... So...
No. Watch it how you watch it. I have my Hulu. I'm going to put my Hulu.
So, we are done with episode 1. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Episode 2, season 2, next week, next Friday, hopefully. Anything you want to add?
Yes, we can go next Friday, but we will be starting late because I am going to be working late most Fridays.
That's fine. Are we thinking like midnight?
Probably midnight to 12:30.
Fair
in
enough.
that range.
I can do that.
Yeah.
All right. So Friday we will have episode 2. That is the 11th, I believe.
Today is
the 15th.
4th.
Sorry. No, the 8th. Sorry. I forgot what week we're on. So they'll be in 4 days. 5 days technically, because it's not Friday at 8. It's going to be technically Saturday the 9th, because it's going to be at 12:30.
Yeah.
So 5 days.
Yeah.
So tune in 5 days from now. We will have the second episode at twitch.tv/comic and GameCorp. So check that out. Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think so.
Find us at realnerdcorp.com, RealNerdcorp.com. Links to our Twitch and YouTube accounts will be down below for both videos on Twitch and YouTube. You can find us on Podbean at realnerdcorp.podbean.com or by going to the Podbean app on your mobile device. You have to download the mobile app, obviously, and search for us at Real Nerdcorp on the Podbean app. We're also on iTunes at Nerdcorp, NERDCORP. And what are your personals?
You can find me on Twitter at x2000gregs. You can find me on Tumblr 2000gregs.tumblr.com, and you can find me on Instagram at 2000gregs. So for my Twitter, it's the letter X 2000 GREGS, and everything else it's 2000 Gregs 2000 GREGS. Chad, where can they find your personal stuff?
Chad Nerdcorp on Twitter, ChadNerdCorp, and Chad's Photo Hut on Instagram, ChadsphotoHut. Every time I search for you on Twitter, I search Swish, and it pisses me off because you're not there.
Yeah,
Because
because
you used to be a Swish.
yeah, I did used to be a Swish, but now I'm 2000 X 2000 Gregs, and I'm changing my name on there for every month. Um, like last month for Halloween, I was 2000 Ghouls. Uh, and
Are you
now this
2,000
month
Gobbles?
I'm 2000 Gregs giving.
That's good. Our
And then
official Nerdcorp is currently Gobblecorp.
GobbleCorp. Yeah. And then I always put my name in parentheses next to it, and I'm Alex Thanks Swishing.
I can't wait to see what you come up for Hanukkah,
Well,
Christmaka,
for Christmas, I'm gonna do what I always do, which is Merry Swishmas
going back to the
for
old
my name. But I
Duality.
don't know what I'm gonna do for 2000 Gregs. I'm gonna find something.
Back to the older
I gotta
level.
find something. Yeah, we'll figure something out. I don't want to give it away yet.
Tune in,
So
find out. So season 2 next week. Get to find out how Swisher feels about Alex and certain other characters in season 2. So
woo.
yay,
Very tired.
Olivia Wilde. So say goodnight, Swish.
Thank you all for listening to another edition of the Straight Outta Chino podcast, brought to you by the OHOG podcast, starring Skeet Ulrich, powered by RealNerdCorp.com. We will see you next week live here, twitch.tv/Comic and Game Corp. For Chad Porto, I'm Alex Swisher. Goodbye. Good night. And I think I forgot my outro because we've been on a break. It's strive to be better and do good recklessly.
California.